Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Now they're already talking about booster shots, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of a drink or something that they came up with that you could drink 2 of these every month or, every 3 weeks. And,
it's called the Negroni.
And exactly. And ironically, it's not covered under your prescription plan, and it costs you $300 per.
The Negronis, they're about $12 if you get a good one.
Well, it depends on where you go. Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Hello, gentlemen.
Happy Wednesday, at least for most people in the world.
Happy Wednesday.
Half the people in the world.
Well,
Here's my question for you. First question for you, John.
Go for it.
How many times did you practice saying the Get On With It Sports Show so you didn't say...
So I didn't say the locker room?
So you didn't say, can I have a number 3 supersized?
Yeah, pretty much.
Welcome
out to the Get On With It Sports Show.
Welcome down to the Let On With It.
God damn it, yeah.
The Logger On With It.
The Logger On With It.
Ooh, that might have been a good one.
The Logger On With It room.
Let's logger on with it.
There you go. A couple, actually. I did. Right. Probably 4 or 5, maybe.
Oh, you did a good job. You did a good job.
My voice would have been better if it actually started at the beginning of the words that I was saying in the sentence.
Well,
your voice doesn't start at the beginning of your word.
the voice.
The
good part of my voice, not the cracking.
You have to take the short delay
not the cracking, voice-changing 13-year-old voice that started that line out.
When it's time to change, then it's time to change.
Right. So that would be
we're off to a smashing
stellar start
as always.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. I got a question for you there, Pete.
Yes.
What happened? Razor, scissors, little both.
The Islanders won game 1.
The Islanders won.
You look really good. You look a lot younger. You look like a really sexy lesbian.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what? He actually is a very sexy lesbian.
That is actually, they have the pictures up on the wall where you get your hair cut.
Yeah.
And that one, it says,
you wanted to be lesbian. He said, I'll take the Ambi Wambach and the little shorter on the back.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I got sick of having long hair.
Looks good.
It was a pain in the butt. It was right in between where I could push it back and be a true.
Just couldn't do a damn thing with it anymore.
I couldn't do a damn thing. You know what it was? I went in the mirror in the bathroom to wash my hands after dinner, and I had sour cream on the end of my hair because I was eating and it would fly into my mouth, and I was like, "That's it!" And I was threatening.
It was a conditioner?
Right. No, it was. I've been threatening.
We're going right into the too much information portion.
All right.
Well, I'm just saying. I've been threatening to get the same haircut as my son for years, so I finally did it.
There you go. Well, it's almost as short. Actually, it's actually a little bit shorter than your hair was in this picture right there.
It's the old number 1 clippers on the side.
Old number 1 clippers on the side there.
Go back to that for a second because I have some questions. Where is the body, and how many people had to help you get it into the crawl space? Because this could easily be an old FBI most wanted. Last seen in Queens.
Keep in mind this picture was about 4:00 in the morning, and we're both pretty hammered.
Yeah, no, I get all
that. Doesn't mean that we didn't kill someone and stuff.
Right.
This is true. I mean, it could mean
we
a lot.
may have done that. I don't remember.
I don't really remember either, but
don't exactly know what happened to that building.
You're both dressed like Andre Agassi, which makes it even odder.
Well, we were doing an Andre Agassi broadcast.
When you're going to bury a body, you don't want to wear white.
No, it stains very easily.
Yeah.
So
it just shows.
You don't want to do that. Yeah, that picture's 20 years old. So.
Yeah, that was. I'm pretty sure that was. We had a good time that day.
I seem to remember having.
I don't remember much about it, but I think we had a good time.
Yeah,
I do have a picture of you sleeping on pizza boxes on top of the.
That's
conference table. Not sure where it is, but I know I have it somewhere. Anyway, so again, stellar start. Well, thank you for tuning in, folks.
Let's hope it stays that way.
This has been the Pete's hair and John's non-gray beard portion of the show. We'll get back to you with more in a moment.
This is kind of like he's consistent.
Exactly.
That Pete is consistent.
So why don't we just pair up in threes and get on with it already?
All right.
Nice.
All right.
What are we going to talk about first? Hockey?
Well, I mean, I think we need to.
Or...
No, never. I think we need to talk. We need to talk about this wonderful NBA concoction of let's give the underdog a chance. So so far they've just wasted 2 games, but
yeah.
Tonight will be interesting because it's LeBron's 3rd game back since being hurt, and Anthony Davis is, depending on how you count him, 4th.
No, didn't he miss another game?
Probably.
Right, LeBron came back and he played a game or 2, and then he went out.
And missed the game.
I mean, for me personally, there would be nothing better than watching the Lakers lose 2 play-in games. But the NBA would literally, I think, just shut down operations if that happened.
Yeah, well,
pretty much.
That's going to be interesting.
You're right on that one. I think they would, but
yeah.
We have things we never thought we'd see: the Lakers in a playoff game, the Clippers tanking to avoid the Lakers,
yeah,
dropping 2 spots, and we got some tough first round matchups, which are going to be good.
Yes, and
I officially don't like the play-in tournament format at all.
No.
I think what I would have liked.
What's that?
Is like and this wouldn't have been fair, but I would have liked the 7 and 8 seeds playing for one of the spots and the 9 and 10 playing for the other.
Mm-hmm.
But then you might have had a number 9 team becoming the 8th seed, which would screw Washington over. So now Washington has to win 2 games.
Right.
Which they did not do in order to just become the 8th seed. So
it's annoying, but it makes sense the way they're doing it. If you're going to expand the field to 10 teams, but you're only going to have 8 to start the main rounds or whatever, not the play-ins, you got to do it this way. You have to have 9. You have to have the loser of the 7 and 8 play the winner of the 9 and 10, and that's the only way. That's the only fair way to do it because Washington loses to Boston, and then they're out, but the 9 or the 10 team can be the 8th seed. Yeah, it's just not going to work.
Why don't we just have the top 8 teams?
Oh, I agree. Well, that should be the right way to do it. But
I thought this might be a good thing, at least to keep other teams involved, and at the end of the season.
But why do you need more than 16 teams? Look, if there's 16 teams that make the playoffs all the time, that means inevitably there's going to be probably on any given year 18 to 20 teams involved until the very end of the season to decide. That's pretty good odds.
Yeah, but often not. I mean, how many of these teams, might not? I mean, what really?
Okay.
What would San Antonio be doing? Or Charlotte for that matter, or even Washington, who ended up with 34.
So if Charlotte won 2 games and got into the playoffs, to me, it's a sham. It's a sham. Why even if you know you're going to fall to that 7th or 8th spot, why I would just tank and get to the 10th spot so I could play the 9th team and not the 7th team. I don't know. Then you have to win 2 games
coming off of the
I get it, but it's just too.
Oh, so
we don't need this much.
Tanking within the play-in tournament is. Yeah, but I don't think that you want to do that. I mean, you'd have to be virtually assured of being in the play-in tournament, and then maybe you want to lose a game or 2.
I would like it to be fair and square, where the 2 top scorers in the league who can't win don't make it to the playoffs. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, I think we'd all would just take the top 8 teams.
I don't need more Steph Curry. LeBron, the Lakers were the 7th seed. Play the number 2 and get on with it. It's just. I don't like any of this stuff because
I'm saying I am agreeing with you.
I know.
I just want just seeing the format and seeing the boxes filled in and how it works. I don't like it anymore. I thought it might be
both games were blowouts. So the team at the lower record got blown out. Indiana, was a better team. They should have been in the playoffs. The team they played shouldn't have been, and they won by 30, and they were up by 40. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, right. And now they have to,
win again.
Now they have to play the team that got crushed by Boston. So it's nuts. It ain't good.
Nope, it's not. It's not. They should just go back to the 8 and be done with it. I mean,
which they might do next year with the regular.
You listen to these sports shows and everybody's hyped about this because it wound up being LeBron against Steph Curry for a big game. Sort of almost one and done, at least one and done for one team. Mm-hmm. On a Wednesday with nothing else really going on. So,
I got to be honest with you though. I don't think either team is going to stand a chance to move on past the first round, though, because I don't think. I mean, you really think the Lakers or the Warriors right now in the state that they're in?
Yeah,
and
I still think the Lakers.
I don't mean California, by the way. I mean,
No, I think the Lakers are still the favorites in the West.
Okay, so they're gonna beat Phoenix
if they're healthy.
They could if they're healthy, sure.
Oh, anybody can beat anybody. I understand that, but you honestly think that but what they've been going through the last 2-3 months of the season.
Well, in other words, if the Lakers win this game,
Phoenix the best team. I think Utah's better than Phoenix. I think
I
think Utah matches up better against the Lakers. But yeah, if it's the Lakers and Phoenix in the first round, I'm taking the Lakers.
All right. So
they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis and a bunch of guys who have been packed on ice. Marc Gasol came out for one game this last month to play Jokic and the Nuggets and dominated. They packed these guys on ice for the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know that whatever they're going to do, whatever they need to do to make sure that LeBron feels no pain in his ankle.
Well, and they're going to do
give a new ankle,
and the refs are going to do whatever they need to do to make sure LeBron and Anthony Davis go to the free throw line.
Oh well, now it's fixed. Now you sound like John.
No, I don't think it's fixed. But you don't think if it's going to be a Denver Utah Western Conference Finals that they're not going to give the Clippers and the Lakers some calls with LeBron and Kawhi and Paul George and Anthony Davis? Come on.
No, of course they want the names in there. Of course.
Come on.
You're right. It
won't be the Clippers. No, I think they're going to stomp on the Clippers for tanking. I don't think the Clippers stay.
Seriously.
I think Dallas is coming out of that series winner.
I don't.
No, the Clippers are too good.
Then the Clippers were hot before they sat their guys again, which I don't blame them. I mean, look, Pop did it for years. It's strategy.
Yeah, but not that. Not right at the end of the season, so we can avoid playing the Lakers. I mean,
it depends on when you do it. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Doc Rivers would have ever done it.
And they probably wouldn't have wound up playing the Lakers. So it was bad calculation. They thought the Lakers were going to be the 6th seed because they wouldn't have played him. If the Lakers were the 7th seed, they wouldn't have played him.
Right.
So I don't know what they're thinking. I think the West. You're going to have to go through 2 or 3 great teams, and I think the Nets seem like they're healthy. And other than the Bucks, even with the Bucks, I think that's if they just put their mind to it, the Nets should make it to the NBA Finals. And
they won't stay healthy.
Against who though?
I don't know. I think the West is a toss-up. Mm-hmm. I think Utah matches up against some teams really well. I think Phoenix is a nightmare for some teams. I think the Nuggets got the raw end of the deal because they're playing Portland in the first round. Portland's hot, and I don't want to play Damian Lillard in a playoff series. The guy, much like they're a good team. Portland or any team in the West can beat any other team in the West. I would say maybe with the exception of Dallas, but I'm even going to throw Dallas in that because I think if Doncic gets hot, they could beat anybody. So you're going to see long series. Even if the favorites win, you're going to see 6 and 7 game series where I think in the East you could see, sweeps in the first couple rounds. I don't think Miami. I'm listening to all these sports people predicting Miami to upset Milwaukee.
Right.
What have they been watching?
Well, they're thinking about last year.
Yeah, well,
it's not number one.
Not the same team.
Not exactly. Neither of these teams is exactly the same, and Milwaukee's a lot better defensively.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well,
I think it's good.
I just don't like the playoff format.
Right.
Although I am excited to see LeBron and Steph Curry.
I think the first round, with the exception of maybe the Nets and the Sixers first round series, I think the East has some really good. I mean, the Knicks Hawks is a toss up. It's a toss up.
Oh, I don't know who Philly's going to play.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, regardless of who they play,
I think that's Hawks is a toss up. But I think
let me finish that sentence. I don't know who they're going to play that's going to give them a good series.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Philly.
I mean, I know people are talking about Washington being dangerous, but I don't see them being dangerous for enough games.
Well, Washington got blown out.
Right, but I'm saying they've got another chance here,
Well, Washington got blown out, and Indiana got blown out. And which one of these two teams?
No, Indiana won.
Indiana won.
Got blown.
Charlotte got blown out.
But if Washington can beat the Pacers, and then they're going up against Philly, they might be dangerous for a couple of games, but not for 4. Not against Philly.
No. They don't match up.
No, you're right.
Look, the one thing that the biggest improvement on Philly is not Joel Embiid's game; it's his ability to stay healthy. But the second biggest improvement on Philly is the play of God. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Simmons.
Yeah, of Simmons. I mean, he might be the best defensive guard in the NBA. There's an argument that Philadelphia has 2 of the top 3 best defensive players in the league on the same team. Mm-hmm. And a coach now that's defensive minded.
And that was the argument when it was Simmons and Channing Tatum. It's in my mind. His name is not Channing.
Channing Tatum got signed by
Simmons and Tatum, right? And they were like, well, maybe did they?
And Tatum O'Neal. Tatum O'Neal's a hell of a defender.
She was. Ryan O'Neal taught her everything he knew.
Yeah, Tatum O'Neal's a good defender.
And they're like, well, who do you, they can't work together. Who do you keep? Who do you get rid of? It seems like they kind of
They should have kept Ryan Seacrest.
And then they brought in Embiid, and they said, "Oh, Simmons and Embiid, they're never going to be able to play together." Well, it worked out pretty well,
right?
Yeah. I don't want to play Jonathan. Look, I think I'm looking forward to the playoffs. But let's just get to the playoffs, and I don't want to see a team. I honestly, to be honest with you, as much as I would sort of enjoy the Lakers losing, I don't want to see the Lakers lose like this.
Right.
This is sort of ridiculous, and I'm.
Well,
I'm done with the Steph Curry show.
Oh yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, it's right. Go ahead.
I was going to say Golden State just doesn't have enough.
They don't. They're not.
The
Lakers are winning
for tonight. For two games, Golden State can win 2 games.
No. I mean, if the
but I don't know if they can win this game.
If the Lakers lose, Golden State just doesn't have enough to really get anywhere. Right. I don't think.
No, but they have enough to get into the playoffs, and they're also a 39 and 33 team. So if you put them in the East. They're what, a 5 seed?
Right.
Right.
If you put them in the East, they're a 7 seed.
7 seed, okay.
Although I don't really think they look. I heard
they're still not.
I heard the other day Steph's numbers against LA are down this season. I can't remember his first. Caldwell Pope. I don't remember his first name. Demarius or whatever the heck it is. It's something. Right. Has apparently got the duty of guarding Steph and has done a good job in their head-to-head matchups.
Caldwell Pope's a good defensive player.
Yeah,
I think LeBron's going to come out and dominate because he's
probably going to have a bionic ankle.
He's just pissed that this is what he's going to have to do. Well, he can play through injuries, but better than almost anybody.
Well, this will be interesting to see what you just said. Does he come out? Is he angry? Is there, a little bit of that Jordan? I can't believe I've got to go through this bullshit.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's thinking. That's exactly what he's thinking.
It'd be interesting to see because he's, the knock on him is he ain't a killer, but he's got plenty.
About that.
Well,
I would say he is. He's just not. He's not as he's in a different era. So he's also I think he's very cognizant.
He's not a showboaty.
No, he's not. He's the ultimate sportsman, and I think that's. But to say he doesn't have that killer instinct, I mean, I think you could say that maybe early on. I think you could have maybe even said that when he first went to the Heat, because I think it was still Dwayne Wade's team. But when he single-handedly beat the Warriors, I mean, that was when that was when I said, he's sick of hearing this stuff, and and I think
when he
wants to, he can dominate.
I think some of those finals losses had a lot to do with sort of toughening him up and going, Jesus, I have to slit some throats when given the opportunity. So
it'll be interesting.
It'll be an interesting game.
What do we have? A week and another 2 days of playoff games, 3 days of playoff games before we actually start the playoffs.
Was it the 22nd? So today's the 19th, 20th, Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday, the actual playoffs.
The actual playoffs start Saturday. Yeah.
Great.
And speaking of that, as far as the Knicks and the Nets go, the Knicks' last playoff appearance was 2013. Last time they won was also 2013. Last title was, of course, 40 years before that in 1973. The Nets' last playoff appearance was, of course, last year. Last time they won was 2014. and they haven't had a win since '76 either. So, which team is more likely to win? Obviously, it's the Nets. We're not going to say that, but how are the Knicks?
The Nets have never won a championship.
Well, no, the ABA championship.
ABA, yeah.
But how really at this point? I mean, we've come along, throughout the season, bouncing around saying, oh, this is, first the Knicks. Oh, this is a cute little story. Oh, this is nice. Oh, wow, they really did good in the first half. Wow. Well, they certainly can't keep it going in the second half, right? Now all of a sudden they're where they are. How realistic is it that they're going to get one series win?
I think it'll be a battle, but I think they can beat Atlanta. I think it's a toss-up. Yeah. I think if they play – look, I watched the last game, the Knicks, and they looked great for about 2.5 quarters, and then they just were a turnover machine. They stopped playing defense. They couldn't shoot the ball. Julius Randle looked horrible from the field in that game, but he was the guy who sort of at the end of the game said, we got to hold on to this and win this. Mm-hmm. And they did. Noel is a hell of a defensive player. He saved them in that game. It was a Boston team that was playing their third stringers.
Sure.
I think the Knicks can play. The key to the Knicks is not Randall. It's Barrett, because they have to have him play really well on the defensive end, and he has to shoot well, or else there's no chance. And they both logged more minutes than anybody else this season. So sure. They're young, that was relatively speaking, especially Barrett. So they should be okay. I think the Knicks can win the first round series. They have home court. They should be able to get. They should. They're favorites to beat the Hawks, so they should win. It depends on who they meet in the next round. I don't think they match up well against any of the top 3 seeds. I don't think they match up well against the Nets. I don't think they match up well against the Sixers. I think they, interestingly enough, match up best against the Bucks, who they almost wound up playing in the first round.
True. The ironic thing is if they are going to play the Nets, it's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
So regardless of that, no matter how it plays out, and that would be interesting.
Well, then it'd be quite disturbing.
Yeah, this matchup is the Knicks and Hawks. This is the best of the bunch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as this first round in the East, right?
In the East, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. And in the West, is it maybe Denver and Portland might.
Portland's going to be a hell of a series.
Miami doesn't stand a chance against the Bucks.
Miami, Milwaukee
against the Nets
doesn't stand to be good, and Philly's going to beat up on whoever.
Whether it's the Wizards or the Pacers, neither of them is beating the Sixers. So.
Yeah, and Utah against
Dallas.
We don't know who the eighth is going to be, but it'll either be Memphis or San Antonio
or whoever loses tonight.
Right. Or whoever loses tonight.
It could be the Lakers.
Could be the Lakers. That might,
And that changes things right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I mean, imagine that. So take that scenario where the Lakers wind up playing Utah in the first round. Boy, that makes the path for the Jazz, who had the best record in basketball, really tough.
A lot tougher, yeah.
Sure.
It also makes Phoenix's to ask a little easier. Because they're going to play a team with the worst record in the first round, as opposed to the Jazz. So, and then I think the Nuggets drew a tough matchup. I think the Clippers will have a little bit of an easier time.
And so think about that for 1 second, though. Think about that. That's something we didn't touch on before when we were talking about the seeding and everything else. Utah, if the Lakers lose tonight and then win and beat either Memphis or San Antonio. The Jazz are playing the Lakers.
Yeah.
So they're not playing at that point. They will not be playing the worst seeded team in the playoffs.
No.
And they're the best seeded team. They should be playing the worst seeded team.
That's why I don't like this.
That's another screw up with this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The NBA, when they thought of this, were like, okay, here's the teams that are going to be hovering around here. Maybe we'll give them a chance to get in. They didn't think that injuries would decimate the Lakers and they have to be playing in a play-in game, and I'm not even necessarily sure they thought Golden State. I think even with some of the injuries that Golden State had, I think a lot of people thought Golden State would be 6th or 7th in the conference.
Here you go. You want to do it fair? You want to keep 10 teams with a couple playing games. You want to keep it fair though. The 7th seed automatically plays the 2 seed, And then the 9 and 10 play each other, and the winner 9 and 10 play the 8th seed.
Well, why do we always have to make that?
I'm just saying if they want to keep 10 teams, that's the fair way to do it.
All right, here's 10 teams. All right, we want to have more teams. Great. Here's 10. It's all this wild card shit that I hate. I hate it in baseball. I hate it now. I just don't like it. I don't like this. I don't like punishing teams because of where they're seated. You know, in baseball, you can get a 100-win team that's got to play a wild card game, and if they lose one game, they're out, which is unfair.
It's not. It's very unfair.
So if you want 10 teams, 1 plays 10, 2 plays 9. Put 10 teams in there. Have the first round be best of 5, and then best of 7 after that.
Exactly. The problem is, then you have 5 winners. What do you do? You know, that's a problem.
Or I'm sorry. So if it's 1 through, then you can have
you'd have to do 12.
Maybe you have a bye. Maybe the top team gets a bye.
Teams gets a bye, and it's maybe a 3-game series.
I don't know, something
like that. But,
go back to my original statement. Just keep it as 8.
Just keep it as 8. No, the smartest way to do it would be keep it as 8. If these guys want to make the money and they want a couple playing games or whatever they want to do, the fair way to do it, because of what we just talked about with that possible seeding change. The fair way to do it would be 7 automatically plays 2, and then 9 and 10 play each other. That winner plays 8, and that winner plays 1. That's the only way. That's the only way to keep it fair.
Yeah,
because it's only one team now.
And by the way, the Grizzlies are up by 19 at the end of the first quarter. So all of these play-in games they're going exactly the way you think they would be.
Sure.
It's sort of garbage time.
I honestly think that most of the playoffs are going to go that way, too, with the exception of the Lakers being a wild card, obviously, wherever they wind up sitting and playing. Right. But we'll see. We will see.
But that's kind of the way this game should go.
Yeah, well,
right?
it should be that way.
There's usually one upset in the first round.
Here, an upset there is fine, but for the most part, it should follow the way it should.
I think the wild card. It looks like the wild card in the East is Boston. Can anybody tell me which Boston team is going to come and play?
No, they can't tell you either.
No,
that's the problem.
But I guess my point with this game that's going on right now is, these teams are 5 wins and conversely 5 losses apart.
Right.
So you would think this really shouldn't be that close.
Right.
Lakers and Golden State are only 3. Right. But then again, you know what? Denver's got 5 more wins than Portland. The Clippers have 5 more wins than Dallas. Mm-hmm. But Dallas is more likely to be a blowout.
Look, and every team in the West, with the exception of San Antonio, had a winning record.
Right.
That's playing right now.
Yeah.
You had 7, 8, 9, and 10 in the East who are either at 500 or below 500.
Right, exactly.
And so I think
you had 6 teams.
This experiment works better in the East, but it's also rewarding. I don't think a team that's in a shortened season that's 33 and 39 should be given a chance to get into the playoffs. I just don't.
Yeah. And there's 2 33 and 39 teams between the Spurs and the Hornets.
Right.
But couple things on the Knicks. Julius Randle became the first Knick in franchise history to average 20-plus points, 10-plus boards, and 5-plus assists per game in a single season.
Yep.
So that's kudos to him for that. And also, Tom Thibodeau right now is tied for the second best odds to win Coach of the Year.
Second, tied for who's got the first best odds?
I just had it. Where'd it go?
I mean, it's got to be what's his name from Utah.
Oh yeah.
I think Thibodeau is probably the. Look, I think Mike Malone for the Nuggets has to be considered. Look, with what I mean, he's got a workhorse. I mean, Jokic sort of carrying that team on his back. Uh-huh. The Nuggets have dealt with a lot of injuries this year.
They have, but look where they were, and look where the Knicks were. The Knicks were.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
Nothing. And they're the 4th seed this year. You know what I mean? That's
the other person who should be considered. I think he is the odds-on favorite for the Coach of the Year. Is Doc Rivers?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that change in mentality in the Sixers is a bigger change, or as equal a change as it was in New York. Mm-hmm. And what were the Sixers last year? The Sixers are 49 and 23.
Yeah.
So This is a guy who got bounced after leading a team to one of the best records in the league last year.
Right.
So I think he's got to be up there. And I'm sure Steve Nash will get some votes.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, I'm just pulling it up right here. Here we go.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder's got the he's the favorite to win. And then whatchamacallit? I can't even go here.
I'll tell you one thing about the Jazz.
Doc Rivers is tied for third with Monty Williams from the Suns.
Okay. I was going to say Monty Williams is another guy. I mean, the Suns. You've got 3 teams that really had a really big turnaround this year.
Oh yeah.
In Phoenix, obviously the Knicks, and I think for Utah to lead the league, it's not a turnaround, but it's certainly a worthy consideration because he wasn't in the conversation last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and look, you could say, well, if the Lakers had been healthy, then everybody in the West would kind of be down one spot.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that would still be an impressive. It would still be impressive for Utah and certainly for Phoenix, which brings me to my question for you guys. Go ahead there, John.
No, I was just going to say just a quick update here. This is straight from Vegas, the VegasInsider.com. Monty Williams actually is the favorite to win, according to Vegas. Tom Thibodeau and Quinn Snyder are tied for second. Doc Rivers is third.
There we go.
So there you go.
All right. So my question for you guys is, who's the MVP?
Oh, geez. Oh, the MVP's got to be.
I think it's Nick. It's the big white stiff from the 303. It's got to be. It's got to
be the Joker.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
I mean, he's done something that I don't think any center's ever done.
He would have, if he didn't have to shoulder the whole load towards the end of the season. There, he still would have been in the running for it. What he's done the last couple months is ridiculous.
Well, but I think, do we all agree they're a better team actually without Jamal Murray? I think that was said on this podcast.
I do feel that way this year. Now, Murray proved me wrong in the bubble last year because he got hot. Murray is one of those guys who is a dynamic player who fits in the mold of a Damian Lillard or Steph Curry. Obviously, he's not as good as those guys, but he has the ability to put up 50 points without going to the free throw line.
Right.
So he can light it up. I just think he is, much like those guys as well, a defensive liability. And I think Murray would be better on another team. I think if Klay Thompson came to the Nuggets as they're built right now, but healthy with Barton and everybody else coming back without Murray, if it was Klay Thompson playing the two, and now that the Nuggets sort of have a point guard point guard combo in Campazzo and Rivers, I think the Nuggets are a legitimate contender and maybe the best team in the West. But I think what's going to hurt the Nuggets is that they are the most unorthodox lineup in basketball right now. And unless there's going to be way too much pressure on Michael Porter Jr. to dump in 28 to 34 points a night, which he's been doing.
Right.
But they've become a two-man team because Gordon has really dropped off in his offensive production. Hell of a defensive player, good team player, great team rebounder, very versatile on the defensive end. But without Monty Harris and with Will Barton out, they've gone big. And that works with some teams, but I don't think in the long haul it helps them. Having said that, they're one of the hottest teams towards the end of the season, and they've beaten good teams.
Yeah.
So I think look, a Denver-Utah matchup, even a Denver-Lakers matchup is a good matchup. Portland is one of those. The Nuggets could win in 5, or it could go 7, and Portland could win because you just don't know what's going to happen with that backcourt. If the backcourt of Portland is able to chuck it up from the half-court line all day long, and they're both putting in 25 to 35 points a game, then they're a hard team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nuggets don't have the defensive players to cover them. And that's what concerns me right now. Campazzo and Rivers are not going to be able to make up. And I don't know who you put on C.J. McCollum. I just don't know. So it's going to be tough. And then all of a sudden, if you do cover those guys, well, oh, by the way, you have the 10th highest scorer in NBA history who's having a pretty darn good year, standing there at the 3-point line, ready to hit an open shot.
Sure.
So I think Portland's tough.
They are. It's definitely not as easy as a pick 'em, if you will, in the West as it is in the East. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. And look, a lot of people, the media and everything is still East Coast biased. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't watch these teams. Look, I haven't watched the Nuggets as much as I wanted to because they've had a standoff all year with the cable provider out here, and you can't even get the Nuggets on the Altitude Sports Station on cable. So even in Denver, this team, you haven't been able to go to see them. You have to have Dish or go to someplace else to watch them. So even in Denver, a lot of people aren't aware of what's going on with this team. And Portland, Utah, Phoenix, they're not on the radar. They're just not on the radar. And I think they will be now. And I think it's going to be fun for people to see because there's a lot of good basketball going on right now.
Right. Yeah, it is. One thing really quick we didn't mention last week.
Hang on. I'm just going to say I think everything he said about Djokovic is absolutely true. Chris Paul is my guy for MVP.
Let me make, because I've heard this. No, a lot. Chris Paul isn't even the best player on his team. Has there ever been an MVP who's not the best player on his team?
I don't know. Probably not.
And I understand Chris Paul is having a great year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about Chris Paul having a great year.
It's about how much better he's made this team.
It's where Phoenix was and where they are, and he's the difference. To me,
I think his leadership
he has more value for his team.
He certainly is going to be in the discussion. He certainly has to be in the discussion.
I think Djokovic is going to win it, and I think the difference is this.
Yeah.
What?
It's Jokic. The difference. He's not a tennis player.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Bradford. I think Bradford's going to win it.
Bradford.
And the difference between them is
Nikolai Bradford.
This much.
No, I think the difference is a dump truck away. Because here's why. Here's why I say that. I agree with everything you said.
Lives in Denver.
Well, I would. Hey, look, I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't live in Denver, because I think I have better insight into it. I do think that Chris Paul has made Phoenix a lot better. But if you take Chris Paul off of Phoenix is still a 40-win team, 42-win. If you take Nikola Jokic off of the Denver Nuggets, even with Jamal Murray, they don't win 30 games.
Well, I don't know if Phoenix is a 40-win team without Chris Paul.
They certainly are.
Well, what were they last year?
He could arguably be their third best player.
What were they last year? What was their record last year?
They were not in the playoffs. I know that.
No. They've had a much better year. But a lot of that's just also maturity. They've got a lot of young, you could have said that 2 years before with the Nuggets when they didn't make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they were there.
I see Pete's point. And
a lot of people share it, but there's no I don't see.
Now the Joker, did he lead the league in assists? Did he end up getting that?
I don't know, but
that's a piece of history. I definitely
here's what the Joker does though. He's in the top 5 in every category. He's led the league in double doubles. He's a center who is averaging close to a triple double, and not just a 10.3 rebounds and 8+ assists. No, he's averaging over 20, close to 26 points a game, 11 rebounds and almost 9 assists. That has never been done. Mm-hmm. It's never been done. It's never been done.
The assist leader this year was Westbrook.
Oh, was okay.
Yep. And speaking of Westbrook, and that's where I was actually going, ironically, that was how you brought me around there. Didn't mention this last week, and Westbrook passed Oscar Robinson for triple-doubles, 182, most in NBA history. So kudos to Russell for his feat there.
Let me say a little bit of something, and this does work against my argument for the Joker, too, because I think, number one, scoring is up, which means inevitably a lot of times assists are up. Then this has a lot to do with, I think, Westbrook. There's no defense. There's very little defense anymore. So if somebody drives to the basket, there's a lot of easier buckets, which means that there's a lot of extra assists. There's a lot of extra points being distributed around here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I didn't analyze it, but if you look at the last 2 or 3 years, you've seen this escalation in the amount of points that people have averaged. When people like Julius Randle go from 18 to 24, and when people, everybody's points have gone up, which means that even Chris Paul's numbers, which have been pretty paltry, and not an indication of his play, but his numbers have been, especially scoring wise, have been pretty low over the years. I think that's also an indication of where he's at. And I know you're not making the case based on Paul's numbers. You're making it based on his impact on his team. Right. And look, I think Chris Paul in a lot of ways, even though he's not really a comeback, he would be my vote for comeback player of the year, because I think in some ways he has redeemed himself because he was cast off in a lot of ways.
Total assists. I was going to say total assists. I said before, Russell Westbrook has the most assists, 763. Right. Chris Paul's number 2 with 622.
Well, who's got the average?
And
per game?
Russell Westbrook, 11.7.
Okay. Well, here,
which is really high.
Chris Paul 622 and 8.9 a game.
I'll just make this
Jokic
case.
Is third, by the way,
but not that far. Okay. Not that far behind Paul.
No,
I'll 23 behind Paul.
I'll make this case, and you may not like it, and you may not like my logic, and that's perfectly fine. The Nuggets were third this year, right? What was their record?
Nuggets record was
47-25.
Yeah.
Okay,
they were 653 winning percentage.
They were 46-27 last year in third. The Suns were in 10th at 34-39.
Right.
So the Suns have, they're number 2. That's a huge jump, and I think the overwhelming reason for that, the number one reason for that, is Chris Paul. And that's why he gets my vote. And that's my logic. And, you can agree or disagree, but that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, by that logic, what was the Nets record last year?
I don't know. They made the playoffs.
Okay, but what was their record last year?
All right, hang on. Let's see. The Nets were 35 and 37.
Yeah, they were under 500, and this year so maybe James Harden. I mean, is James Harden did James Harden have a better season than Chris Paul?
Numbers.
It's hard to say numbers wise because he was out. I mean, he
was out, but he missed
the time. Yeah.
Did he have as big an impact on the team's record as Chris Paul did? I'd say so.
He had a big impact on it, but again, he was out for.
Did James Harden play a lot of games without his team's best player? Where would the Suns be if it was Chris Paul and no Oubre or no what's his name? My brain is fried tonight. Who's there? The kid who looks like he's 12. Devin Booker. Devin Booker.
Booker, yeah.
Devin Booker's averaging 26 points a game.
Well, listen, we can speculate about who would do what with or without anybody.
I think you're going to get a lot of people voting for Chris Paul. I think a lot of it is the fact that they don't want to give a Denver Nugget player the MVP. Well, I really think that. They've never had a player with an MVP award.
That might be for some people. I don't think a lot of people. I think there are a lot of people.
I don't think they've watched enough games.
I think there are a lot of people who have wanted that. That's probably a true statement. Who have kind of wanted, or like they're looking for a reason to give Chris Paul something.
Right.
Because he's been so good for so long. And look, he's gotten hurt in the playoffs and, had his struggles in the playoffs too. But he's a guy they like and stuff. And he's one of the best. Like if you look at like the little guards, he's one of the best.
Yeah. There's something about those guys that just, it's like when, what's his name from Phoenix, the coach of the Nets, when Nash won MVPs. I mean, he's not even close to being the best player in the league. And he had Charles Barkley on his team. I mean, I don't know. It's look. It could be. Paul could very well win this. Steph Curry could win. If you don't think LeBron's influence, Curry could win.
Curry's got. He's got the points per game record for this year. So
which he basically took away from 2 or 3 other guys over the last couple of weeks. I know this is a regular season award, but if they beat the Lakers tonight, they're going to be people who let's say
Bradley Beal had it wrapped up, and then
let's say the Golden State doesn't. Let's say Golden State doesn't make it to the playoffs. And neither do the Wizards. Who had a better season, Russell Westbrook or Steph Curry?
Oh, jeez. Probably Russell Westbrook, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is the thing that's so odd about Westbrook and the chemistry that he has on the team. Yes, he's not the best shooter in the world. I understand that. But Russell Westbrook is – I don't think he's trying to pad his stats. He's not he is a guy who makes everybody on his team better almost at any point in the game.
Right.
Why it can't translate to success in the playoffs, I don't know. But if you're just looking at those stats, you were talking Oscar Robertson stats. And I think Oscar Robertson won, 3 MVPs?
Yeah, I
believe so.
Now, Westbrook's won, I think, he's won at least one, right?
So one, yeah.
I get it. I understand where they're coming from. But if you look at those numbers and what Westbrook's done, and then translate to a center almost doing that.
Yeah,
yes, Jokic's been the same player he was last year, but he's improved in almost every category. Yep. And yes, the Nuggets have not moved up anywhere. But to your point, with the Suns and Utah and everybody else, they're playing in a much harder West. I think the West is more challenging this year than it was last year. There's a lot more parity, and they've had incredible. If Chris Paul, if the Phoenix Suns had the second best record in basketball, and Chris Paul played the last quarter of the season without Devin Booker and the first quarter of the season without Oubre, and then I'm saying, all right, yes, Chris Paul is the MVP, but he didn't.
Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha. Well, it all makes sense. We'll see what happens with it. Couple of
That's
things
what I wanted, a
place.
nice spirited debate.
Exactly. So playoffs start this Saturday. The actual round 1 of the playoffs start this Saturday. So we'll have some interesting things to debate next Wednesday once we see how things are shaking out. So let's. Can
I just touch briefly? I don't know because I don't want to talk a lot about this, but Kyrie's comments about not thinking about basketball and worrying about oppressed peoples around the world.
Right.
Whatever. He's Kyrie. He's a flake, etc. My question to you guys is, I hear a lot of response from sports media types, which I guess we're part of, right? We're part of the sports media, part of the.
Well, we are.
We hope to be.
Yeah, but the guys who have their names on shows and things, right. So indignant from them about. We're professionals and this is our job, and you owe us answers to our questions. We deserve to have our questions answered, and I find that laughable.
Well, I find it to be somewhat. I'm going to say it. I find it to be somewhat racist, because when Bill Belichick refuses to answer a question, or Greg Popovich refuses to answer a question, nobody's ever saying that they owe them an answer. I mean, it's a little ridiculous in some.
Yeah, the refusal to talk to the media, they get so upset about, and I'm like, I don't think these players, they owe us answers. They don't owe you anything.
No.
This is entertainment. It's sports, and it's a multi.
In fact, I would prefer if they didn't talk.
Well, listen, other than contractual obligation, if these guys weren't contractually obligated, do you think any of them would? I mean, there'll probably be a few guys who like the spotlight, right? And they like to say things and they want the controversy or whatever.
Sure.
Most of these guys would go, I don't have to talk to the media. Fine. Game's over. I take a shower and I'm gone.
Exactly.
And, you guys remember, I mean, back in the day, you didn't have this, 24/7, not only cable coverage, but also then everything online and Twitter and everything else. I didn't hear from 5 guys after every game. You saw Patrick Ewing with his knees in a bucket of ice getting talked to by one person. You saw Jordan and Pippen, and of course Rodman towards the end. You didn't see. This was only in the playoffs. You didn't hear press conferences from players.
You go back further
in the
than
middle
that.
of the season.
There was press conferences with the coach.
The coach,
maybe
once a week. The coaches used to have a scheduled press conference once a week.
That's it. And then occasionally a couple of reporters would go into locker rooms, interview them, and then their what they said would quote them in the newspaper in their articles.
Maybe if they felt it was quotable.
Right. Yeah. And that's it.
And then the other thing that I'll just say about all of this is nothing would change for us if we never heard from these players. Yeah. We would still watch the games, right?
I don't hear from them because I don't listen to them.
It would give us a little less to talk about.
It would give us less to talk about. Look, it would put a lot of people out of business or out of a job. Sure. I'm not saying this is I think should be the way it is, but nothing would be different really in this as far as the games and the sport and the enjoyment of it if we didn't hear what you just said, 5 different guys on the same team.
They love to harp on something and try to create controversy. It's the same thing. Kyrie gets a lot of the same treatment in a different way than Allen Iverson used to get. Allen Iverson used to literally leave his bones on the court. And then he would say one thing that they didn't like and people would harp on it, call him a thug or he's disrespectful to the game. Disrespectful to the game?
Yeah.
Did you watch the game?
Really?
Right.
He might not look or sound like you want him to, but come on, give me a break.
Well, yeah, and then they're asking him questions about practice.
Yeah,
this guy's in the fight of his life.
We should definitely have that queued up.
and you're asking about that. No, yeah, to me, I'm just like whatever. None of it has to exist.
No,
at least Kyrie's saying something.
Right.
You don't get much from some of these other guys.
Well, but
Harden talks.
Yeah. The other thing that a lot of these guys were like, well, listen, you want to use the platform to say the players want to use the platform to say what they want to say, but they don't want to answer our questions. Well, you're the one who creates the platform. Right. You're the one that
have some better questions.
Have better questions. And
what do you think they're? I mean, look, how many NBA players gave you truthful answers? I could count. Back in the 90s, there was 2. Charles Barkley and Charles Oakley. Those are the only 2 that gave you true answers to any question you asked. That was it.
Not to ever feel sorry for professional athletes, but could you imagine being somebody on one of the Super Bowl teams during that media circus and having to go down Radio Row and sit station after station after writer after whatever and answer the same damn question?
For the amount of money they make, you could slide me through hot coals and ask me my social security number, and I would tell you. But that's just me.
Yeah, right. But that's not, and I don't think you'd feel that way after a few years of making that money. Yeah. Right. But I'm saying that once you had some of that cold hard green, you'd be like, I don't know. It's just to me the so indignant. They owe us answers. They don't know you.
Yeah, they just try to cause controversy over things.
Exactly. That's all it is.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's about clicks and getting likes, and it's a competition.
It's all about that.
News isn't about news anymore.
Look, it's hard to keep an audience, especially on cable television. Audiences on cable television are trending older, and people have been home, so now people are not as home as much. They're going to be going back to work, going back to school, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. How do you keep them? I mean, there are lulls in the sports here, and it's hard to, I turn on First Take. I'm like, oh, what the hell are they talking about? Why are they screaming about, something that's totally irrelevant right now? I don't understand it, but it's.
There you go.
It's how you keep the attention.
It's exactly.
We're all on the same page.
Exactly.
None of this could exist and make no difference to the fan, but we would have. Well, we'd have more time on Wednesday nights if that.
We'd have more time on Wednesday.
I'm not advocating that in any way.
Spurs have cut it to 8, by the way.
Exactly. Spurs have cut it to 8. There you go.
Yeah, I know. I saw before they brought it back to like 11.
There you go.
Ginobili just came in the game.
Player coach. He said
he
had his tearaway suit. He ripped it off. He's got his uniform underneath.
All right.
All right. Where are we going next?
Let's switch it up to baseball. We have a top 10 list, and it's baseball. So let's talk about baseball before we do our top 10 list. We'll start with the insanity that's going on in Queens with injuries.
Yeah, who's on the Mets?
Nobody knows anymore. I don't even think half of them know each other anymore. First of all, just mention super tough guy Kevin Pillar the other night. That was just disgusting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Horrible. And then he was doing press conferences. He brought the lineup out yesterday afterwards. I mean, did you see his face afterwards? Did you see?
No, I saw the clip, and then I saw like a close up of him getting hit, and then he walked off, and then they were like, "Yeah, he broke his nose in 29 places."
Yeah, exactly.
But he's going up, hey, everybody.
But he tweeted later that night. He says, "I'll be okay." He says, "But the important thing is it was the game winning RBI when it hit him." That's what he said.
So
But
he's happy.
He is. He said in a press conference yesterday. He says he's actually heartbroken because he's not able to go out and play right now. But I guarantee you, as tough as he's been hit in the face before, earlier in his career. So I would not be a bit surprised to see him back on this team at some point this year, regardless of
Well, listen, with all of these injuries, this was going to be a prime time for him to play. So,
yeah, exactly.
He was not necessarily the projected.
No, he's part of their bench mob. That they're doing.
He was going to get some starting time.
He was going to get a lot of starting time.
Throw some tape on this thing and let me get back out there.
Now they've signed. They brought Khalil Lee back up, and they brought they signed a bunch of people that you're like, who the hell are these guys? It's ridiculous. But the odd thing is they're getting it done. They're actually winning games. They're still in first place.
Well, they have.
They have 75 people on the IL, and they're still winning games.
They have not against Tampa though.
Except for Tampa. Yeah.
Except for Tampa.
Thing. And that was for Harry. That was for
the Knicks. I mean, the Yankees finally sort of solved Tampa, and the Mets. The Mets
and then the Yankees passed it on to the Mets, and now they have to figure it out.
That was another thing. Like, probably not you, Harry, but we didn't talk right after it happened. The Rays series, we were in the midst of it last week. But all I heard from fans calling up on the radio shows, look, what was the score of the first game? 3-1, I think, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, the Yankees won nothing. The Yankees won the first two games by scoring 4 runs.
You shut them out. You allowed 1 run to the Rays in the first 2 games, and then you had a bad game and got beat up in the third one, and that's all the Yankee fans could talk about. This is who the Yankees are, and this is the way it is. You see the true colors revealed.
That's the difference between Yankee fans and Met fans.
And I'm just like, what do you get? You guys finally, you won a series. The Yankees, like up to that point,
but if you're a Yankee fan,
they hadn't lost a series in like nearly a month.
Right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're doing. The Yankees were doing what you do. You win series, right? 3 weeks ago, was it? They were 5 games back. Mm-hmm. And
I think it was just how bad they looked in that game, and but that happens.
Maybe.
There's a lot of parity in baseball, but to your point, exactly, that's the way I'm looking at it. Win the series, win the series.
How many people were
sweep here and there? Just win the series.
I know it's what have you done for me lately, but I couldn't believe how many people were just harping on that third game, and as if this is the true persona of the Yankees. Now, of course, I heard today 46% of their runs come from home runs.
Right.
So that is definitely an all or nothing team, but that's not unusual.
Yes and no, because baseball. That's true. They are slugging the ball. Their best hitters are sluggers, so they're not going to slap singles to the opposite field. But the Yankees had a bad game. They lost the game that Cole started. Cole did not look probably his worst outing as a Yankee, maybe his worst outing in 3 years.
Right.
To a Texas team was not necessarily all that great. They get down 3-0 yesterday, and then they come back winning the game the way they won all of last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting guys on base, working pitchers, pitch count up, getting them out of the game, getting to people's bullpens, and then the top of the lineup, especially LeMahieu, who's been a little down this year. I mean, still way above the average in the league. I mean, 280 hitter right now is on some teams the best hitter on the team.
Yeah.
But
it is a god right
now.
It's like 280 is you're winning the MVP with that right
now. For the Yankees to win, okay, LeMahieu and Judge have to both be playing really well, and then they need that third guy to come up intermittently. Voit to get hot. Then they need Urshela to get hot. Then they need Torre, and that's what's happening right now. So they're scoring a little bit more runs. This experiment with their second, third, and fourth starters is still undetermined. I mean, Talion and Kluber, I thought we had something with Kluber and Montgomery. I don't think Montgomery had a bad game. Talion sort of got really beat up the other night. Kluber's pitching tonight. We'll see. We'll see if he can. He should be able against a 19-25 Texas team, a team that he's seen many times before. He should be able to get through to the 5th to 6th inning. If they can do that, then the Yankees will be okay.
Yeah. I was actually shocked how. I mean, what was it 5 earned runs that Cole gave up on Monday?
Yeah, he didn't look. And Cole's when Cole loses, it's because he gives up the long ball. Mm-hmm. He gives up a lot of home runs. For as dominant as he is, he gives up a lot of home runs. Mm-hmm. And still, okay, how many times have we seen Andy Pettitte give up 4 or 5 runs and the Yankees come back and win it? How many times have we seen Tom Seaver give up 6 in 8 innings and the Mets, So the Yankees have to be more consistent, and they're not alone. No. Every team in this league, with the exception of maybe the Oakland A's, are just not very consistent in what they're able to do.
They're not. Talking about bullpen, talking about pitching and everything else, just speaking of the switching back to the Mets really quick. They played yesterday on Tuesday. They played a bullpen game. The entire game, they gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts in the 4-3 win.
Yeah, they're pulling. Who was it? The team that did this all of last year was it Cincinnati? Not Cincinnati. Anyway? There's a number of teams that did this.
Couple, yeah. And but the ironic thing though, at that one of the pitchers, Tommy Hunter. I mean, he's been a journeyman for 13 years now. Started with Texas. Was on Philly last couple of years or whatever. He got his first major league hit last night. And he acted literally, and he said it in the press conference. He was literally laughing. He jumped. He was jumping up and down on first base, and he said he was jumping up and down like a little leaguer. He's like, I got a knock in the show, he said.
Well, I mean, look, the Yankees.
He debuted August 1st, 2008.
2-year-old.
It took him that long.
Is that a record?
It's got to be.
Has he been continuously playing since 2008?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, he
went for him.
Yeah, exactly. So he it's been literally almost 13 years, and he finally got a hit. But I mean, it's
But I'll say this about the Yankees and the Mets.
Go ahead.
Indirectly, but are the 2 best closers in baseball in both in New York? They both really look good.
Quiet.
Chapman's probably the best he's ever been. He hasn't blown one yet. 10 for 10.
Yeah, it's not October.
10 for 10. But he's
not
dominant.
October.
Diaz is looking really good.
Diaz, but as long as he's
he's got 7. He's got 7 close. He's got 7 saves right now.
I think the Yankees have the 2 best starting pitchers and the 2 closers in the game so far this year. And yes, Cole did not have a great outing the other day, but both their closers look good.
Pitching goes through New York now.
Here's the thing: the Mets are losing
for LA, but that's
the Mets are losing 3-1. Charlie Morton's pitching a 2-hitter right now on today's lineup. The Mets have 5 guys whose batting average. This is how little they played. They have 5 guys whose batting average is 0, not 0.00.
It's John Blutarski's grade point average. It's 0.
Have you ever seen 5 guys in a lineup now? And there's one guy hitting over 250. He's hitting 252,
right?
And everybody else is hovering around 200. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. But I mean,
the old National League East isn't such a powerhouse.
It's not. It was supposed to be. It was literally touted to be probably the best division in baseball, and it's like it's.
Well, this goes back to
so much.
I think it goes back to the dominance of the pitching, and it also goes back. My point being is that the Mets are playing people that shouldn't be in the lineup. They're playing a lot.
They're hurt. They're playing double and triple A players right now. It's not even their bench players. The bench players are half of their bench players are hurt.
Which is why I think you got to keep more players around these days. Like the Yankees got rid of Mike Tauchman, who I sit up and watch ESPN the other night, and there's Tauchman hitting a home run in San Francisco. Yeah. And now they're playing a guy who's third. I think a 32-year-old minor leaguer who's I think had 9 or 10 at bats now in the major leagues in right field. Yeah. I mean, how do you let a guy like Tauchman go? This is just what did they get for him? This is just nothing. It's ridiculous. And the bottom of the Yankees order is horrible. I mean, Tyler Wade's the best hitter in the bottom third of the Yankees lineup.
Right.
That's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot, definitely. As far as people coming back in, though, and I'm not talking about the recent IL injury list added on people, if you will. Seth Lugo, yesterday, Tuesday, 3 outs on 4 pitches in his rehab assignment. And Syndergaard did his first.
Sanchez-esque.
Yeah, and Syndergaard did his first rehab start today, Wednesday, and it was 4 scoreless innings. So
Syndergaard and Severino are going to dictate the fortunes for the Yankees and the Mets when they get back.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that's definite.
And Syndergaard's a better pitcher, but I think there's also more question marks maybe in some ways with him. But yeah, I think they need both those guys back. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that they were both aces, on teams. Mm-hmm. I think Syndergaard coming back dramatically changes the nature of the Mets rotation and their chances of winning.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody's even talking about Carrasco's coming back soon too. But there's no timeline on him. Right. It's there's no timeline on these guys too. It's soon is really pretty much it for all of them. It just depends on how far they get in their rehab assignments and when they make the decision to actually bring them back. But I mean, the league as a whole, though. I mean, it's still that parity going on. I mean, there's not nobody.
One and a half games separate the top 4 teams in the American League East. The Mets are actually, yes, they're only one. They're sort of they've created a little space between the Braves, the Marlins, and the Nationals. But the Cubs in Milwaukee are still hanging around St. Louis, and the West is bunched up with the Dodgers technically in 3rd place, 2 games back.
Yeah, they are.
Giants and Padres. The Padres are playing like the team we thought they were going to be, but nobody thought the Giants would be 10 games over 500.
Not in the least at all. It's insane what they're doing between the Giants and Oakland too. I mean, it's something's going on in the Bay Area. That's for sure.
Well, and I can't believe they're talking about moving the Oakland A's. But anyway,
yeah, that's another thing.
There's an interesting article today on ESPN.com. I think it was the main article on the home screen, and the article is basically titled "Why the Strikeout is Ruining Major League Baseball," and the moral of the article is that pitchers are better than ever at spotting things. They're going after. They'd rather get 2 more strikeouts than potentially give up a home run. And hitters have no pride striking out. They don't care if they strike out anymore.
They couldn't care less because everybody else is doing it. So it's not like it's a thing they got to hang their head about. It's everybody else is doing it.
And I agree.
So just swing for the fences. There's no more small ball. It's situational hitting is gone. It's just let's drive this out. Let's drive this out. It's all about the strikeout and the home run. I mean, it has been for a couple of years now. It's been
about the strikeout and the home run. This year, the home run aspect of that is down a little bit. So the strikeout was more dominant, and the batting averages are tanking.
Yeah. We had another no hitter the other day,
right? And the runs scored are down. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with the home run not being so dominant. When you get 4 hits in a game and 3 of them are home runs, to me that's not great baseball.
Right.
But when you get one, it seems like too when teams are facing a number 1 or a number 2 starter, hence the Yankees, series. Yeah, you could get a team that scores 1 run in 2 games, and then the next game they score 7 because they connect with somebody who doesn't have quite the location. I also think the strike zone has expanded, and anything close to the box is called the strike. Right?
There's more balls this year that there's more strikes this year.
There's less balls this year.
Less balls. There's less balls. There's more balls that are called strikes this year. That's what I was trying to say.
If you look at pitchers across the board, their percentage of strikes to pitch count, it's way up.
Oh yeah, it's
way up. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And we're definitely going to have a record no hitter amount of no hitters this year. Spencer Turnbull in Detroit the other day, he's gotten on now. So it's just going to keep going. It is. But hey, you know what? That's something that'll be looked back on in 2021, and I don't think it'll be matched again. But we'll see what happens with that.
No, it'll be another example of Major League Baseball doing stupid things.
Yeah, well,
I think I also read that there's been more extra inning games so far this year than any beginning of the season in the last 15 years.
Right,
something like that. So this whole idea of trying to not have extra inning games is backfiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Even this idea of, hey, it's only going to go, 10 innings. They were still going 10, 11, 12 innings.
Right.
And then that's also driving up the run total because, I was watching the Rockies the other day against the Reds, and, it was 3-3 or something. The final score was like 7-6 because it was like college football overtime.
Yeah, it was.
When you stick somebody on second, it's kind of hard. It's hard actually to not bring that run in.
Right. It is. It is difficult. Just pulling up something here. I wanted to ask you guys about. I wanted to bring this up. You saw what happened in with the White Sox. Yesterday.
The unwritten rules of baseball.
The unwritten rule, the 3-0 count, and then one of his own players, and Tony La Russa blasted one of his own players for hitting a ninth inning home run with a 3-0 count with an 11-run lead. And I just want your opinion on it. I mean, do you think La Russa was right in blasting him for that, or do you think, hey, this is baseball?
No, he's right.
Okay.
You don't run up the score. Not like that. Now, say he walks that guy, and the next guy comes up and hits a home run. Well, that's okay, but not on a 3-0 count.
On a 3-0 count,
does the fact that there wasn't a pitcher on the mound make a difference? Because to me, it does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
exactly.
a position player. I forget who it was. I get the story.
It's
here.
the ninth inning. You have an 11-run lead. It's
You
a
don't
3-0 count. A position player's playing.
That makes it. To answer your question, Pete, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
To me,
it's bad enough when a pitcher is on the mound, when a position player is just trying to get his team through the game and close it out to get the hell out of there and go take a shower. That makes it even worse. I got you. Do you see what Trevor Bauer said about it?
No.
Go ahead, Pete. What were you going to say?
Well, I don't know. I think the Twins should have had a pitcher on the mound. I mean, it wasn't their bullpen wasn't completely exhausted. They were waving the white flag.
They were.
Maybe there should be a rule where you're able to wave the white flag. Then, just if you want to have a couple games end early, then that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're good.
We're not
surrendering.
Let's go.
We're not going to try. We're down by 11 runs. We're going to put our second baseman, whoever one of them our reservists.
If we're going to have Little League rules, there always used to be that rule in Little League. So
exactly. But I don't understand it though. 11 runs. I mean, I get it. It's 11 runs. It's pretty much insurmountable, and you're more than likely going to lose the game. But there's a reason you're out there, right? I mean, stranger things have happened. If it was 25, like a few years ago, I remember the game that the Mets were playing against the Nationals, and the Nationals had like a 25-2 lead or something like that, and they put Jose Reyes in, and he pitched. I think he pitched that the inning he pitched. I think he pitched to like a 48 ERA. It was because of what he gave up in that,
which was the third lowest on the team.
Third lowest on the team, exactly right.
But I'm just saying, you're putting a guy out there.
He became their third starter the next day.
The next day, absolutely, he was in there. But
you're putting a guy out there who's not a pitcher. You're saying we surrender, the game's over. So now, what is the other team supposed to do? We're going to stop hitting. So what? He lets that pitch go, and then he's not supposed to swing at the 3-1 pitch. Is he just? I agree. I understand. You don't bunt with a 7-run lead in the 8th inning and that sort of thing.
You don't swing at the 3-0 pitch, and if you're a pitcher, you pitch through that game.
Right.
So if you're the guy, who's been in there for 2 innings and gave up 7 runs. You're going to pitch the next 2 innings. So it's not about get through it.
It's not about. It's about that. That's an issue. Okay. Yeah. And again, like I said, it's a 10-11 run lead or whatever.
But it doesn't matter if there's a pitcher or a catcher throwing on the mound. You don't up 11-0. You don't.
Right. So it's a 3-0 count. Now, if it was a 1-2 count, and he grooved the pitch, you don't mind him.
No.
Well, he's not a pitcher, so every pitch is pretty much
every pitch is a meatball at that point.
Anything that's in the strike zone is grooved.
It's a position player. Obviously, he's trying not to put anything that's going to be hittable, and he doesn't have the command. On 3-0, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to get one, so I'm going to slide one down the middle."
Did you actually see the pitch? By the way,
it was kind of like an eephus.
It was. It was.
It was not. Like a.
It was batting practice.
The three of us could have hit that ball.
It was batting practice pitching.
Yeah.
So it was home run derby pitching.
I don't know if you don't put a pitcher on the mound, it's a circus, and
we want a pitcher, not a belly itcher.
I think you should do whatever you want. I agree with the 3-0 rule in general, but
I don't know. Who cares? Call it a game. If you want to end some games early, if the team says, "Hey, I want to forfeit because we're down 11 runs," and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with saving your bull. That's fine. I'm okay with that. What inning was it? I think you have to have it. The seventh inning. I think as long as it's past the seventh inning, if it's the eighth or ninth inning, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and if you want to do that to save your bullpen, okay, maybe you got a big series coming up with another rival or something like that. I'm fine with that too. Right. But if you're going to play the game out and you're going to put your reserve third baseman on the mound,
right? But
I'm gonna swing away. Sorry,
but it's the same thing as
rules be damned.
It's the same thing if you're up by 30 in the NBA and the third stringers are in there. When the clock's ticking down, you don't shoot a 3-pointer right before the clock expires either.
Right.
It's the same sort of idea. You know what I mean?
I just want to bring up what Trevor Bauer said. I'll just read it to you.
Oh yeah.
It was a post on Twitter or Instagram. I forget which, but. Here's the how it reads. Dear hitters, if you hit a 3-0 homer off me, I will not consider it a crime. Dear people who are still mad about a hitter hitting, kindly get out of the game. Can't believe we're still talking about 3-0 swings. If you don't like it, managers or pitchers, just be better. That's what he said.
All right, guy who's been good for a year and a quarter. Trevor who?
Trevor what? Yeah, exactly.
Well, Trevor Noah?
Trevor Noah. Yeah, exactly.
Forget about how long he's been around.
Right.
Here's the thing, okay?
He just wants to be the new Kurt Schilling.
No, first of all, here's the problem. He's talking about two different things.
Exactly.
He's just saying a generic 3-0. If I'm gonna groove one and you're gonna swing away, I'm not going to be mad about it. And really, that's kind of a stupid rule in a competitive game. If he's throwing one right down the middle and you're trying to,
he always used to take the first pitch. No one ever swung at the first pitch. Do you know what the highest batting average? Do you know what the highest batting average is by pitch count by like threefold in the league this year?
First pitches.
First pitch.
Absolutely.
The league is hitting 346 on first pitches.
They finally realized that most pitchers, not all, most pitchers groove with the first pitch so they can get ahead.
They groove the first pitch, and they're going to groove a 3-0.
Right.
So he's talking about a completely different situation, number one. And number two, the whole get out of the game. Well, baseball wants the game to be, more exciting. They want to bring the young kids in, and they want the bat flipping and the blah, blah, blah. But not everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Remember when the players didn't want to answer questions? It goes both ways. Maybe we don't need to hear everybody's opinion on everything via Twitter. Just shut up.
Well, listen, that's right.
True.
This goes back to my point about what Kyrie was saying, and that if this never came up in the media, it wouldn't change a single thing about the game.
No,
and Kyrie's probably tweeted something about hitting on a 3-0 count. Sure.
Probably.
Oh my God!
I hit on the swing 3-0 for all the best people in the world.
That's right.
Exactly.
But if we never heard what Trevor Bauer or anyone else had to say, or what Tony La Russa had to say, or anybody, it wouldn't make a bit of difference. We'd still watch the games. And
I went 17 seasons without ever hearing Mark Guevara talk. I'm okay.
Yeah, but that would have been interesting, though.
No, it wouldn't have. You don't know.
To a point.
Have you heard some of his views on things? I don't think you want to hear what Mark Guevara
No. I'm just talking about football. I don't want to hear his other stuff. I'm just talking about football.
That's the point. That's what I mean. Yeah. If he today he'd be tweeting about something. Yeah. But it's there used to come a time and place where the coaching staff would say, we're good. We don't need you to say anything.
Yeah. We prefer you didn't.
We prefer you go. Go ice.
Well, they did.
Have a drink. There you go.
I think it was Georgetown. They didn't want Patrick Ewing to speak to the media, right? They're like, just don't say anything.
No, that was James Dolan didn't want him to speak to the media. So.
Well, John Thompson and company when he was in college.
When he was in college. I thought you meant in the games. When
he was in college, he was not available to the media.
I feel sorry for some of these college kids. I mean, some of them are natural at it, but imagine being 18 and being on the national stage like that with the microphone in your face. I wouldn't know what to say.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I agree.
It really is. And a lot of them are handling themselves pretty well.
They are. Well, they're trained in it now.
Yeah.
So it's the only class they go to.
Exactly.
Tweeting 101.
Tweeting 101. Instagram.
Entry to tweeting.
Intro to Instagram.
Intro to Instaface.
There you go. Instaface. There you go. All right. Well, should that bring us to our top 10 tonight?
Oh, God, I hope so.
Actually, I just wanted to ask one quick question.
Go for it.
Right now, Shohei Ohtani, the league MVP?
Probably. And
Mike Trout's pissed. Crazy the stuff he's doing.
Even despite his pitching. I mean, even without his pitching, he's never.
Without it, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, definitely, I would say absolutely. Let
me just throw these couple things at you here because I just love these. And look, these are kind of the. That's sort of the way you look for certain statistics. He's the only player over 32 to, have 16 tackles in a game that went into double overtime, something like that.
Right.
But some of the things that he's done. Batting second while being the starting pitcher. Nobody's done that since 1903. Leading off the day after being the starting pitcher. That hasn't happened since Ruth in 1916. Third player ever to play in the field in the same game as striking out 10 batters. And then get out in right field, kid. Nice job on the mound. Now get out in right field. And becoming just one of two players on record to throw the ball 100 miles an hour and then hit 100-mile-an-hour baseball in the same game.
Yep.
And again, we're kind of looking for interesting things here, but this guy's sick. He's just sickly talented and a lot of fun to watch.
He is. It's crazy. And on that note, too, his former teammate that got unceremoniously canned last week is now a Dodger.
Yeah. And got a hit the other day.
And he got a hit. He got his first hit as a Dodger the other day.
And I think drove in a run, too.
Yep. RBI. Yep.
If he can accept his role on the Dodgers, which will be limited, right? Because he's not going to get that many chances to be a DH, and he's not going to play in the field very much.
Nope. No,
but if he can accept that, he could hang around and win a championship with the Dodgers.
He'll come up and bat, in a situational late in the game for replace the pitcher and so forth and so on. DH when they do, when they are playing.
Yeah, he could be one of those guys that. Let's say the Dodgers are don't have home field advantage in the World Series this year against whoever.
Right.
And he could DH for 4 games.
Sure.
He could be the guy who rips it up, right? Albert Pujols hits 391 in the series with, 4 home runs and drives in 10. And the Dodgers, probably wouldn't go 7 games if that happened. But,
that's true.
He could very well play that role.
That's true.
I mean, look, in the American League especially, or I guess all of baseball, there's some guys having some great years. Ohtani's definitely up there. But Bogarts and JD Martinez for the Red Sox are off to some great starts. Yeah. And I'll tell you another guy who's two guys who I think are MVP candidates right now, Vlad Guerrero and Yuli Gurriel. I mean, they have really had they're off to some pretty good starts. Gurriel already has 13 doubles.
13 doubles right now.
13 doubles already.
That's great.
In 40 games.
Yeah, that's video game
crazy.
Numbers. That's video game numbers.
Yeah. So and Bogarts and JD Martinez is
they're tearing it up.
333, 52 hits, 33 runs. He's got 10 doubles, 10 home runs, and 33 RBIs. I mean, he's off to a good start. I mean, that's
saying the least off to a good start. So.
I mean, there's a reason why the Red Sox are doing so well. They got 3 guys off to a really good start in that lineup.
They do. So, although their streak, they have lost 2 in a row now. So,
true,
but
they're winning. They're winning tonight.
They're winning tonight. Yeah. So.
Should anything happen to Manny Machado for his another dirty play, takeout slide /
Well, he got suspended for a couple games, right?
Yeah. Oh, he did. Did he? Okay.
He did, yeah.
I hadn't heard that. Okay, good.
Yeah. Manny Machado just won't go away. We'll be talking about Manny Machado in 10 years from now. Still, I guess he's not that old. He's not that old. It seems like he just wears out his welcome everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's a dick.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a dirty player. Okay. So he got punished. So that's good.
He got his comeuppance. So
Right. I don't think I have anything else to add before we get to the top 10.
No.
Let's do our top 10.
Oh, no, never mind.
Start the top 10, damn it.
Wait, hold on. No, okay.
Oh, that was about the top 10.
There was that guy on the team that did that thing. Did you guys see that?
I saw that thing. That was really good.
I heard about it.
My question was...
I heard Trevor Bauer's response, but I didn't see the actual incident.
Yeah. I thought it was a good thing, and Trevor Bauer's wrong. That's all I have to say about that.
That's pretty much the case in all of the
exactly.
all these
no matter what it is, insert that there.
No matter what happens. My answer when Trevor Bauer and Kyrie Irving are involved with quotes, I'm like, I don't care.
They're going to start a company after they're done.
I don't care.
Start a PR firm.
Yeah.
Irving and Bauer.
One-eyed Flat World Productions.
Oh, on that note. All right, so let's do our top 10. Our top 10 today. Our top 10 this week is top 10 third baseman in Major League Baseball history. We're going around the diamond. Top 10 third baseman in Major League Baseball history, and in true locker room fashion, we have 12. So we have a tie for 10th and a tie for first today. We've had once before. We've had a tie for first.
Do we have a tie for first? Yeah.
We've had it once before. We've had it.
This was an interesting category.
It was. We discussed earlier this week a couple of players that because people move around the diamond a little bit and who should be in and who should not, and especially with DHs, especially if you think back to our top 10 first baseman, we had David Ortiz on the list, and of course. He's going to be on our DH list, and maybe we probably at that point should have left him off first base.
We did leave him off first base, didn't we?
He was on.
Okay.
So we left off a potential better DHs that would have made it for third base, but in any event, you'll see the list and you'll understand. So let's begin. So we'll start.
I know what I wanted to say.
What was that?
Who's the catcher? Sanchi and Miggy. More Aaron Boone nicknames. That's the other thing.
Sanchi and Miggy. Right.
He said it the other day. Sanchi and Miggy and Boney. Voidy? No, I forget. Hicksy? It might have been Hicksy. He mentioned three of them in answering questions.
Sanchi, Miggy, and Hicksy.
Sanchi, Miggy, and whoever the third one was. So that's official. That's all you do is add E to
the
player's name. Aaron
Boone,
it's
not Sanchezzi, it's Sanchi, right? So it's one. Yeah. It's the whole name unless it's two or more syllables.
No, one of their names is Swing and Missy.
Swing and Missy.
But there's got to be like online. There's got to be a Aaron Boone nickname generator.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's what he has. He has an app in his phone.
Later, if he doesn't
puts it in.
So we have to put in.
And the app costs him $3.95, and it just works easily.
We'll have to put in what was that guy's name? The pitcher for the Twins the other day. Williams Montedilia or something like that. Whatever.
He's Monty. He's Monty.
I guess Willie. Just call him Willie.
You call him Willie Monty.
Montedilli. All right. Sorry. That was the other thing. I knew there was something.
That's only going to happen, though, if he goes to the Yankees, so it doesn't really
matter. That's right. Right. I knew it wasn't important either, but
he's becoming the George Bush of Major League Baseball managers.
Pretty much.
As long as he doesn't have to commend anybody for botching an entire flood response.
It's his strategy.
Should be okay.
You're doing a hell of a job there, Sanchi.
Doing a hell of a job there, Mickey.
Heck of a job, Sanchi.
Anyway.
All right. Top 10 list.
All right, so top 10. Top 10 third baseman in Major League Baseball history. We got a tie for 10th. We'll start with 10B is Scott Rowland. Scott Bruce Rowland. He was a third baseman started with the Phillies, played for the Cardinals, the Blue Jays, and the Reds. 7-time All-Star, World Series champion in 2006, of course, with the Cardinals. And I will say it again, he shouldn't have been, but that's besides the point. Not him, the Cardinals, but that's besides the point. National League Rookie of the Year in 97, 8-time Gold Glove Award winner, Silver Slugger Award winner. He's in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Impressive numbers, good enough to crack the top 10.
For some of us.
For some of us. He was right there on the cusp.
He was right on the cusp of my list as well.
Yeah, so, and there you go.
Good player.
Good solid player there.
Good 10B, Scotty.
10B.
Rolly.
Good job, Rolly.
Good job, Scotty Rolly. Scotty Rolly.
Good job, Rolly, making it to 10B.
There you go. 10B. All right.
10A.
10B, Scott Rowland. Here we go. All right. 10A is none other than Mr. Pie Trainer.
Who also almost made my list.
There you go.
But maybe the best name, if only he worked at Village Inn.
He worked at a bakery growing up.
He was the official pie trainer.
He was the pie trainer. He was the pie trainer. Yeah, exactly.
Pie trainer. It sounds like a racehorse, doesn't it?
I think he was because they named the horse after him.
That's right.
He named his horse after him. Actually,
that's right.
Harold Joseph Pie is his nickname. Obviously, that was that. And pie trainer. There you go. He came in the league with the Pirates, played his entire career with the Pirates, and managed the Pirates too. End of his career, and a few years after he finished playing as well. Two-time All-Star, only a two-time All-Star, World Series champion in 1925, and his Pirates number 20 is retired. And of course, he's in Cooperstown as well. Batting average, career batting average, 320, almost 2,500 hits, 58 home runs, 1,273 RBIs. Good solid player. Belongs on the list for third baseman right there at 10A. You guys have anything?
I mean, he's one of those guys that you don't hear of very often, but 320 career batting average. Yeah, I think he only played in one World Series, but hit 293, won the World Series, 2,400 hits, over 2,400 hits. Yeah. That puts him right at the top of a lot of this list. So sure. He's a guy. There's one other guy who we might get to later in a special segment that was similar to him in a lot of ways, I think, where I think they just played so long ago that people forget about him, and they don't necessarily have some of the lasting name recognition that others do.
And with a name like Pie Trainer, he really should have had the lasting
name. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He probably would have been number 10 on my list if it wasn't for a certain juice hound.
For a certain someone else, as you say.
Who I had to put on the list despite.
There you go. And after he was a player and a manager, he was a scout, and he was in broadcasting too.
And then, ironically, he did actually become a pie trainer.
He did.
He taught people how to multiply by 3.14.
Okay. I thought he was actually training blueberries and cherries.
No. That'd be too obvious.
All right. There you go.
His favorite day of the year is March 14th.
March 14th, of course. but like at a specific point in the day.
So. Of course.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. 3. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, number 10A, Harold Joseph Pie Trainer. All right. That brings us to number 9. Number 9 is Mr. Greg Nettles. As we always say, not Craig, not Greg with an E. It's Greg with an A-I.
Greg
Nettles. Greg. Nickname Puff.
Nettie.
Or Nettie.
His nickname is Puff. Or Nettie. Nettie. Of course, Nettie. Greggy Nettie.
Greg Nettie.
Started with the Twins. Right there. Went to the Indians, played with the Yankees. Longest stint was with the Yankees from 73 to 83. Finished up with the Padres, Braves, and Expos. 6-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, of course, both 77 and 78 with the Yankees. ALCS MVP in 81. 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, AL home run leader in 76. And he was a New York Yankees captain from 82 to 84. So there you go. Career batting average only 248, but 390 home runs and 1,314 RBIs. There you go. Harry,
one of the Yankees I liked.
You know, he's one of these guys who's sentimental to me. He's one of my favorite players. I put him on here. I'll tell you what, he was a bubble candidate for me because I just seemed like he was a clutch guy. 27 postseason RBIs, 2-time World Series champ, which puts him right up there with, the leaders on this list. Some of these guys on this list, I don't think even made it to the playoffs, let alone win a World Series.
Right.
So, to me, I weigh the postseason a lot. When I look at the guy's stats and I'm on the bubble, I dig into those postseason numbers. And a lot of times that's where it really separates the cream of the crop. And so I think compared to some of these other guys, I think Nettles, he was great. And he's one of the most fun, dynamic guys to ever watch play the field at third base. He was graceful as anything.
He was. He definitely
was. And he's fantastic. And he had a beautiful swing and deceptive power. He wasn't a huge guy, but he just had deceptive power and certainly took advantage of that short porch in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I just remember you could not hit the ball past him down the line. No. It didn't matter if he was right on the line or off the line, or not that they really had a shift, but it didn't matter. You didn't want to hit it. You didn't want to pull the ball down there because he was going to get it.
The Yankees have had, during his time, their infield at that time was exceptional defensively.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It was definitely a solid infield. There we go. So there you go. Number 9, Greg Nettles, Puffy. Nettie, Greggy. All right, that brings us to number 8. Number 8 is Mr. Ron Santo. Ronald Edward Santo, to be exact. Played for the Cubs and the White Sox. Stayed his entire career in Chicago.
He didn't want to sell his place.
He didn't want to sell his place. He had a nice one. Nice, just outside of town.
Yes. Right in between.
Right.
Right on Lakeshore Drive, right not on the north side, not on the south side.
Yep.
Right. He got, right. Never mind.
That's right.
So on that note,
good shawarma to the north. Good.
He just got sick of playing all those day games, so
exactly.
He said,
so yeah, went to the south side. All right, 9-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner. Chicago Cubs number 10 is retired. Of course, he's in Cooperstown as well. Inducted in 2012. He a career 277 batting average, 2,254 hits. 342 home runs and 1,331 RBIs.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Solid, consistent. Unfortunately, was on the Cubs at a time when he didn't have one at bat in the postseason in his entire career.
Yeah.
Which is tough. I don't think there's anybody else that's been on any of our other lists who have never played in a postseason game.
Exactly.
But he's a guy who just was always there. He was good, and there was a lot of players similar to him during that era. Some of them, I think, get maybe bumped to our DH list just because they played a few more games at DH than they did at third base. But there's a lot of good power hitting third basemen at that time, and he was certainly one of them.
He was. There you go. Number 8 on our list, Mr. Ronald Edward Santo. There you go. Lost you for a minute there, Pete.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Hit the wrong button.
Happens. All right.
I had to jump on my other podcast.
No, you just had to. Yeah, gotcha. No worries. It's all good. Happens.
Unfortunately, it's also scheduled for Wednesday night.
The Pie Trainer.
It's the Pie Trainer.
Wednesday night Fan Appreciation Podcast.
Pie Trainer Weekly. Yeah.
It's really just an excuse to get together and eat pie, but
that's right.
We like to have a theme, so
you gotta love it. So. Brings us to number 7. Number 7 is Mr. Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre Perez. You'll notice a pattern there with some of these players where the last name is the middle name or the first last name. But in any event, Adrian Beltre Perez played for the Dodgers, Mariners, Red Sox, and the Rangers. Finished up with the Rangers just a few years ago. 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner. 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner, National League home run leader in 2004. His number 29 is retired by the Texas Rangers. Lifetime 286 hitter, 3,166 hits. He's a member of that 3,000 hits club. 477 home runs and 1,707 RBIs.
A lot of hits, a lot of home runs, a lot of ribbies. Just did it for a long time. And I remember there was a time when he was on the Dodgers and, right about before the time he got traded.
Right.
I mean, I think him and A-Rod were probably the two hottest, the biggest names in baseball.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's a little bit of a forgotten superstar in that, he didn't really have a ton of exposure and didn't make it too deep into the playoffs. Bad timing maybe a little bit with when he left and when he stayed on certain teams. But another guy who just did it for a long time and did it really well. He's kind of the next generation's Ron Santo.
21 years is a long time to play baseball.
And I'll tell you what, when he first started, I thought he was going to be the equivalent of Albert Pujols at third base. And in some ways, when you think about what his numbers are, he's pretty darn close. I mean, he's got a lot of hits and a lot of home runs.
Yeah, 3,100 hits and almost 500.
Yeah, and that's a lot of hits. I mean, I think there's only one other third baseman that's had more hits than him. So.
Yep. Yeah.
And other than his rookie season, when he played 77 games in 2017, when he played 94 games, never less than, I'm looking for the lowest number here, $111 in 2009.
A lot of these guys, when I was looking at them, a lot of them played complete seasons. You see a lot of guys, even A-Rod back in the day, playing 162, 162,
150, 138, 159, 158, 4 straight years of 156, a buck for, just rarely, obviously not, what do they call it? Game managing?
Yeah. No,
you played.
And also one of the
and
great...
you took pride in it.
Yeah. And also one of the great personalities. Because as much as he could be kind of the scowling, right? He kind of had that reputation. But he was a fun-loving guy, too. He had a lot of fun out on the field. And
I don't think I've ever heard him speak.
No, but I mean...
I've heard as much from Adrian Beltre as I have from Pie Trainer.
You'd look at him and you might think he's kind of a scary, angry guy. But he was always, having fun with guys out there. Just look it up on YouTube. Look up the best of Adrian Beltre and
best of Adrian Beltre's bloopers.
It'll put a smile on your face.
Adrian Beltre sings songs of Pie Trainer.
That's right.
The hits of Pie Trainer.
Pie Trainer. He's no Ron Santo, but he's close.
Exactly. Adrian Beltre. But by the way, here's just uncovered it. The in this Spanish name, the first or paternal surname, or the paternal surname is first, and the maternal family name is second. So his father's last name was Beltre, and his mother's family name, her maiden name, if you will, is Perez. So there you go. That's how that works. So a little knowledge for you.
You can never have a security question of what's your mother's maiden name.
Exactly, because it's out there. It's in the books. Right. So you can't do that. You can't just get.
Alrighty.
All right, Adrian Beltre, number 7. Let's move on to Pete's favorite person on this list. That would be number 6, Mr. Alex Rodriguez. Alexander Emmanuel Rodriguez, as a matter of fact. His nickname is A-Rod, if you weren't aware of that, or if you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years, 25 years. Played with the Mariners, the Rangers, and the Yankees, of course. 14-time All-Star, 14. World Series champion with the Yankees in 2009, 3-time AL MVP in 2003, 05, and 2007. 2 of them, obviously, with the Yankees. 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, 10-time Silver Slugger Award winner, 4-time American League Hank Aaron Award winner, Major League batting champion, MLB batting champion, I should say, in 96, 5-time AL home run leader, 2-time Major League Baseball RBI leader, career batting average 295, another 3,115 hits, 696 home runs. Missed that 700 by 4.
Stop there again. Okay. Over 3,000 hits. How many home runs?
4 shy of 700.
696. Now, how many RBIs?
2,086.
2,086. Okay.
2,086 RBIs.
Okay. Number six.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Number 6 on the list.
He's one of the all-time greats.
He is.
I didn't put him 10 because his numbers sucked. I put him 10 because he's a cheater and a juicer.
I really don't think that. I mean, look, I get it. I understand all that, and that's going to tarnish a lot of guys' reputations. Sure. But unlike guys who all of a sudden hit more home runs than they ever did before,
he was doing it already.
He was good already. Yeah, I know.
And I think he was one of these guys who did it to really overcome injuries. Now, that's not an excuse. It was illegal, and I get that. But I can't. I'm a Yankee fan. When he came to the Yankees, I was really excited. Sure. But it's like, okay, I can't just go on stats. But when you look at his stats, they are just mind-boggling better than anybody else's, with the exception of maybe one person on this list. Now, and you say, okay, well, he sucked in the postseason. Okay, he sucked in the postseason. All right. He hit 260 in the postseason, which is 20 points higher than Mike Schmidt. He had 16 doubles, 13 home runs, and 41 RBIs in 76 games. Now, yes, he had the benefit of an expanded postseason. But you can't argue that because he's better than 3 or 4 of other guys that are going to be coming up right after him on this list in the postseason. I understand A-Rod is a controversial figure, and I really do think he's going to go the way of Pete Rose in that in some ways, he's going to be forgotten and not in the conversation of one of the best players of all time. And maybe he deserves that. I'm not washing away any of his sins, but I had to revisit and just go, holy shit. I mean, if you just took A-Rod before he came to the Yankees, he's on our list as one of the top 2 or 3 shortstops of all time. Mm-hmm. Then he goes and plays more games at third base, finally wins a championship, and has numbers that are just absolutely staggering.
Mm-hmm.
Staggering.
He would have roller skated in on the first ballot.
Okay, and you could say, okay, he's just a slugger. He's just a slugger. So he must have hit 260 or 246 or something. No, he hit 300, 295.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with anything.
I know. I get it all, and I know why you put him down there.
It wasn't for what he did, whether it was for to overcome injury or whatever the reason was, because like you said, he was doing it already. He didn't need the juice to
I was
do
one of those Yankees fans who was screaming at him because he was Giancarlo Stanting it in the postseason, mm-hmm. and then finally he got the right girlfriend, which I think was Goldie Hawn's daughter, and it all came together.
Right.
I'll say this.
And that was the reason.
That was the reason. Because I think it was the next year, right? He dumped her,
yeah.
and then
he went
the
back.
Red Sox happened.
Yeah.
I would say this: if we were in a bigger part of the media on a bigger platform, then obviously I wouldn't do this. But for our little podcast, I'm going to put him 10.
You're going to put him 10.
And I don't disagree with anything you said.
I don't disagree why you have him 10th.
He deserves to be much higher.
I think in a lot of people. Ways. I also think he gets lost in the conversation. Much like we had this conversation texting each other, like, all right, hey, we didn't put. Where do you put Pete Rose? He should have been
right.
But our basic.
Well, Pete Rose played almost every position on the.
I know, but he played more. Our justification is where did they play more games, right?
Right.
So the guys that are not on this list at third base, a guy like Paul Molitor, who's obviously going to be in our top DH list.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I actually did my list before we talked about that. Right. He was already on this list, and I took him off.
There's like 2 or 3 guys who fall into that category on this list.
Right.
I think, if you look, Derek Jeter, look, I'm the biggest Derek Jeter fan in the world, but if you really look at the numbers defensively,
right.
A-Rod was a better shortstop, but you could not come into New York. It was like when LeBron went to Miami and Dwayne Wade was at the top of his game. That was still Dwayne Wade's team. Mm-hmm. LeBron was going to play the 3. If he wanted to play 2, there's no way anybody in Miami would have let him. Right. A-Rod was in the same boat coming in, but he was a better shortstop defensively than Derek. And Derek Jeter's a great shortstop, but A-Rod was better. Right. And then people say he wasn't a good defensive third baseman, and I argue he was a good defensive.
He was a good defensive third baseman.
So not as good as he was at shortstop, though.
But he was still better. At that time, he was.
Anybody else they were going to throw out there?
And I think I think he got a lot of Gold Glove nominations during that time because he moved from shortstop to third. I really do.
And
he was A-Rod.
And that was the right way to do it. And then you look, Johnny, at the Mets with Kazuo Matsui, and we're going to take our fucking all-star Jose Reyes, and we're going to move him out of his position and stick him on the other side of the bag. That the wrong way to do it. Just
right, of course.
So there was no question he was not going to play shortstop in New York.
And I'll be honest, even though I'm a Yankees fan, I had a hard time. When I went into this list without looking really at the numbers, I was like, I'll have A-Rod maybe 8th, 9th. But then I looked at the numbers again.
Yeah, I know.
And then I was like, is he the best all time? And I'll tell you what, it's close. It's close. So anyway, that's just my 2 thoughts on A-Rod.
There's a case for it.
If he didn't, here's the thing. Let's look at it this way. All right. If he didn't do what he did, all right, and he still continued down the path. Now, granted, if he didn't do what he did, his injuries would have probably plagued him a little bit, and he wouldn't have gotten to where he did get to inevitably. But let's just hypothetically, this is a hypothetical anyway, so we're just having fun here, right? If he didn't do what he did and was able to play through it and got to where he got, he would have played more games because of the suspensions So he would have got. He
was suspended at pretty much the height of his career.
Right.
Yeah.
So not the height, but he was still really good. It took away a good year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think his best RBI years
and probably a chance to win another championship.
Right. Another chance to win another championship. A chance to even go forward and not forget about even just breaking the 700 mark on home runs, even challenging Barry Bonds.
I know.
At that point.
I know.
Yeah, how many home runs would he have hit even if he wasn't on the juice?
And I think he knows all this. Right. And I think he's regretted this. And the one thing I will say about A-Rod is that I think he knows this. I think he's a fairly contrite guy in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you what, he's a pretty good baseball announcer.
I think he's very good.
I think he's very good. I think he's very good. Absolutely.
And I think he knows.
I like A-Rod. I mean, it's to be someone of a celebrity of that magnitude and everything that goes along, and of course the relationships and all that. Right. And I remember he did that photo shoot where he was like kissing himself in a mirror or whatever. Yeah. And everything you did was praised by some and slammed by others. That just human beings are not designed to deal with that sort of crap for every day. Every day you walk out of your house, there's people taking pictures of you. It's insane, and he did a pretty good job of dealing with it. And I like the guy, and I think he is a really good announcer. And I've read stuff that other longtime baseball announcers, and they go, "Yeah, we like him too. He does his homework. He's prepared."
And other players like him. He's actually when he was on the Yankees, he was a very good teacher to the younger players, and I've heard that from a number of younger players.
He mentored them very well.
I'll tell you what, he had the weight of the world on his head, just like Ken Griffey Jr. did. And Griffey Jr. obviously succumbed to injuries, and he was a class act and was just incredible. But when you think about it, the legacy of A-Rod and the numbers that A-Rod put up compared to Ken Griffey Jr., I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say this: it wasn't easy for me to do what I did.
Yeah. No, I know,
but I mean, I didn't do it lightly. I didn't look at everything and go, "Oh man, these numbers are great." Fuck him, he's a juicer. I looked at it and I thought, "Do I really want to do this?" And I don't know. I felt obligated.
I get it.
Yeah. And like you said, he's found a great, second career as a broadcaster, and who knows, maybe he's going to be the starting point guard for the Timberwolves next year.
And maybe I bumped him up a couple notches because he threw a little shade in a funny way at Ben Affleck. So
there you go.
Yeah, maybe. There you go. And look, when we take over as the hosts of First Take and we do our
we can have this argument.
We can have this argument.
No, I'll bump him up a little bit.
Because we'll probably have him on. I'll be
put him. Yeah, I'll put him 7.
Explain to A-Rod why you had him as number 10.
Number 10 on our list. The Get On With It show.
What the fuck is the Get On With It show?
Let me roll the tape.
Let's play this back. There you go. But
then he'll be appreciative when I put him like 6th.
He probably will.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, he'll probably have nice things to say about 1 through 5 as well.
Honestly, and maybe I'm wrong, but I could see him laughing at that if that actually happened. Of course. But yeah,
he's like, you guys can put me wherever you want.
Exactly.
I'm sitting on a yacht, and occasionally I wake up with J-Lo next to
me. Exactly.
I switched positions just like I went from third to short.
And he's in basketball now too. So
yeah, exactly. He's the owner of the Timberwolves.
Owner of Timberwolves now. Yeah. So,
you guys can say whatever you want. I just bought your show.
He wouldn't waste his money.
He would just fire me and then sell it. Get your shots in now because this is your last day.
Have at it right now.
He can afford to take like the $20 million loss and just sell it the next day.
Done.
Yeah.
All right.
And that brings us to number 11.
Number 6, Alexander Manuel Rodriguez. All right.
Number 5.
You know him as Larry.
The guy you love to hate.
The guy you love to hate, Chipper Jones. Larry Wayne Chipper Jones Jr. Larry Wayne Chipper Jones Jr. There you go.
Another just beautiful swinging lefty, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Played entire career for the Atlanta Braves, and he's a coach now for the Braves. 8-time All-Star, World Series champion in '95, of course. Missed out on a few others because of the Yankees, right?
And
National
his
League,
coach.
and his, National League MVP in '99. Two-time Silver Slugger Award winner. Major League Baseball batting champion in '08. His number 10 is retired by the Braves, and of course he's in Cooperstown. Lifetime 303 hitter. 2,726 hits. 468 home runs and 1,623 ribeyes.
I thought he was going to join the 3,000 club, but he just kind of tailed off a little bit there, and then
last couple of years
had to end it. But what a great player!
Yeah. No, Again, as a Met fan, you love to hate him, but
sure,
you had to respect him. He was just talented.
Well, and you think about those Atlanta teams, and everybody, you just think of their, rightfully so. They're very highly talked about.
Oh yeah.
Pitching staff, but Chipper Jones was the one real constant position player that was on that team all those years. And he was good. He was good every time. Just unbelievable.
Every time. And he named his his daughter Shay, right? Because of
right. Because he had such good luck there.
He had great success there.
Great success at Shea Stadium.
He was a Met killer.
He definitely was. And but on that team, he was the second most hated player by Mets fans.
Right.
John Rocker edged him out just a little bit.
I think everybody hated John Rocker, though.
And most players, a lot of Braves fans hated John Rocker.
Yeah, I mean, he sounds like a cartoon. He sounds like a character from a film that was made up, Right. And he talked. I mean, imagine John Rocker today with a Twitter handle.
And Boom would call him Rocky, right?
Yeah, we'd be begging for a quote from Kyrie.
Yeah, right.
Well, but he'd never be able to use it because he would be out in the swamp where there's no Wi-Fi. So,
and there would be paparazzi seeing constantly. They'd be him and Trevor Bauer would be out together at bars.
Yeah, the Trevor and Rocker show.
Trevor and Bauer Rocker show.
Hunting gators and drinking whiskey
with Kurt Schilling.
Exactly.
Special guest Ted Nugent.
But this is
live from the hospital.
There you go.
The idiots of the right.
But this is about Chipper Jones, not John Rocker.
This is about Chipper Jones.
Sorry,
Chipper.
No. And you're right, though. You had to respect the man. You love to hate him as a Mets fan. But you know what? You think about it, like Freddie Freeman's a pretty big Met killer right now. And I don't dislike him. I'm not going to say hate. Hate's a bad word. I don't dislike Freddie Freeman as much as I had disliked Chipper Jones back then.
But Chipper, the irony of all that is like there wasn't a nicer, more like less antagonistic player in all of sports than Chipper Jones. He was like the Peyton Manning of baseball. I mean, he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, come on. But he came up clutch against a lot of teams. I mean, the Mets hated him, the Phillies hated him. The Dodgers hated him for a number of years. There's a lot of teams that are not big fans of Chipper Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only team that did not hate him was the New York Yankees.
This is true, and he did like going to Hooters too, from what I heard.
Well, who doesn't?
Are they still around?
Somewhere, a couple places, a couple locations. I think so.
All right, well, let's not delve into the Hooters.
We'll leave that one alone. Number 5 on our list tonight is Mr. Chipper Jones.
They'll probably have to change the name of that place soon, right?
I think so. They're probably going to have to.
Let's call it Breasts.
There's a South Park episode that has a spoof on Hooters, and it's really funny.
Let's just go with the medical terminology.
Let's go to breasts.
What do you want? What's the game Sunday? Let's go to breasts.
No,
tits and tots.
Well, I mean, the logo for Hooters is an owl, not a boob. So, I mean, if you look at it like that, they call it breasts.
Yeah, but we know
an owl, or I know.
Or we can have an owl with big
number 5.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
Let's go on to number 4 now. Number 4, Mr. Wade Boggs. Wade Anthony Boggs, to be exact. He played for the Red Sox, of course, for 11 years. He played for the Yankees for another 5, and finished up with the Devil Rays. That's right. They were not the Rays yet. At the time, they were still the Devil Rays. Finished up for a couple of years there. 12-time All-Star, World Series champion with the Yankees, of course, in '96. Who can forget him riding that horse around after they beat the Braves? 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, 8-time Silver Slugger Award winner, 5-time American League batting champion. His number 26, 5-time, yeah. His number 26 is retired by the Sox. His number 12 is retired by the Rays. Nothing retired by the Yankees, though. He's in the Boston Red Sox.
They retired the horse that he rode.
They retired the horse. They did. They retired the horse.
They gave him.
It's stuffed and it's in Monument Park
years
right now.
off. Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, he's in Cooperstown. Lifetime 328 hitter.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
328 hitter. 3,010 hits. Only 118 home runs, and just over 1,000 ribeyes. But lifetime 328 hitter.
But he's a leadoff hitter most of his career.
Yeah, of course.
And back then, but look, Box is another guy who gets lost in the mix a little bit. He is the Tony Gwynn and Rod Carew of third baseman. I mean, 328. Yeah, he didn't get there a lot with the Red Sox, but he finally won it with the Yankees. And a lot of his postseason was towards the latter part of his career. Right. He still hit 276 in the postseason and had 16 RBIs, which is the same amount of RBIs that Mike Schmidt had.
I think everyone had 16.
Yeah,
everybody had 16.
Schmidt did it in 16 games as opposed to 19, and he had over 3,000 hits. So I mean, when you make that 3,000 hit mark, I don't care what anybody says.
Exactly.
You basically are writing your ticket into the Hall of Fame.
Of course.
And he was one of those guys that he always seemed to get scoring rallies going. He seemed to be the guy who started it, whether it was a infield hit and then some sort of play, breaking up a double play. He was tougher and scrappier than I think people remember him as. He was sort of awkward as a baseball player, but the numbers don't lie, man. He was really, really good.
He was definitely, obviously, getting this high on the list with the three of us voting. He's up there with them, and such a solid hitter. Just crazy.
He was very close for all of us.
Yeah, didn't he? I mean, he flirted with 400 like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah, he was right around the mark. Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, his fielding was good too. I mean, he won 2 Gold Gloves.
That's what I said. He wasn't graceful, but he was a hell of a scrappy third baseman. Could catch a short hop maybe better than anybody else on this list. He's just
great mustache too.
Great mustache. I mean, and I believe still the only player to steal a police horse and ride it around.
Ride it around. And not
at least that we've heard of.
Arrested.
Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
That's it.
There you go. All right. Number 4 on our list, Mr. Wade Boggs. All right. That brings us to number 3. Here we go. Number 3 is going to be Mr. Brooks Robinson. Brooks Calbert Robinson Jr., to be exact. Played his entire career with the Baltimore Orioles. 23 years with the Orioles. 18-time All-Star. 2-time World Series champion in 66 and 70. Couldn't quite do it in 69.
Yeah, got close.
Well, they won 1 game.
Yeah.
But
he made it to the World Series.
He made it to the World Series. Oh, yeah, no, of course.
He got there.
Yeah. AL MVP in 64, World Series MVP in 1970 as well. 16-time Gold Glove Award winner. Nothing was getting past Brooks Robinson.
I think he was definitely the best defensive third baseman.
Yeah, insane, absolutely. Roberto Clemente Award in 1972, American League RBI leader in 64. His number 5 with the Orioles is retired. He's in the Orioles Hall of Fame. He's in Major League Baseball All-Century team. And, of course, the man is in Cooperstown. Career 267 hitter. Just shy of 3,000, 2,848 hits.
Yeah.
268 home runs and 1,357 ribeyes. Getting the Keith Hernandez ribeye thing going tonight. So I figured I'd keep it going.
Yeah, and talk about a guy who played every day from 1960 through 1974. Mm-hmm. Never played less than 153 games.
Yeah.
And he had 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 162 game seasons too. So out there all the time.
I mean, he hit 303 in the postseason, won 2 World Series, which is tied for the most on this list. Yep. So, he's another guy who I think is sort of forgotten about when you talk about the all-time greats. I mean, he's got I think he's one of the all-time greats.
He's. I mean, his nicknames just prove his defensive prowess. You know, as the human vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Mr. Hoover. So. Nothing
definitely everybody knows him as a great defensive player.
And for all you younger people out there was a time in baseball when the ball was hit in the infield occasionally, very hard, and the players would catch it,
and it wasn't a bunt,
and throw it to first base.
Right. His defensive play, his defensive skill at third base was at that hot corner, right? It was just amazing. It really was, and it's a thing of beauty to watch. If you can,
everybody on this list was a good defensive.
Oh yeah, no, but
it's pretty crazy.
Everybody was, absolutely.
With the exception of maybe, I don't know if you think he made our list, but yeah.
So, there you go, Mr. Brooks Calbert Robinson Jr., number 3. We're going to go to number 2 now. Is Mr. Eddie Matthews, Edwin Lee Matthews, to be exact. He played for the Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta Braves, all 3 of them. It was just one team that kept moving. The Astros, of course, and the Tigers. Finished up his career for a couple of years with the Tigers. Short stint in 67 with the Astros. And he was a manager for the Braves as well from 72 to 74. 12-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion in 57 and in 68. One with the Braves and one with the Tigers, yeah. 2-time National League home run leader. His number 41 is retired by the Braves. He's in the Braves Hall of Fame. And, of course, he's in Cooperstown. 271 career batting average, 2,315 hits, 512 home runs the man hit, 1,453 RBIs. And, just...
kind of the original slugging third baseman,
Yeah.
Wasn't great. He's the one guy on this list who does not get stellar reviews for his defensive skills, but but his numbers are astounding.
His numbers are definitely astounding. And later on afterwards, he was a scout for the Rangers, Brewers, and Athletics. Coached a little bit too with them.
And he's currently a judge on American Idol.
He is on American Idol this season. He's and he was on Dancing with the Stars last year.
Yeah, but he broke a hip. It's a long story.
It was a long story. It was just bad. No, actually, he passed away 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's not going to stop him from being a judge on Dancing with the Stars.
But he's still a judge on on American Idol. So
he's judging us from beyond.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's long distance, but anyway, he just his numbers were great. He was a solid player, like you said, original. Just you can't really say anything about him, but anything else about him, I should say. But number 2 on our list, Edwin Lee Matthews. All right, now we got a tie for number 1. A little bit of back and forth depending on who you ask on this list, on this panel, I should say. But nonetheless, these were definitely the 2, with the exception of any comments that we made about A-Rod before. These were definitely the 2 names that were right at the top of the list. And you really can't argue either of them. So we'll start with number 1B. And it does not mean he's below number 1A, just because we have to put a letter to it. So we'll start with him. Number 1B, Mr. George Brett. George Howard Brett, to be exact. 13-time All-Star for the Kansas City Royals, only on the Royals. 21 years on the Royals. 13-time All-Star. World Series champion in 85. American League MVP in 1980. ALCS MVP in 85. Gold Glove Award winner in also 85. 3-time Silver Slugger Award. 3-time AL batting champion. His number 5 is retired by the Royals. He's in the Royals Hall of Fame and, of course, in Cooperstown as well. Here's another batting average over 300, career batting average 305. 3,154 hits. 317 home runs and 1,596, just shy of 1,600 ribeyes. So, amazing amount of hits. And, just a pleasure to watch him play.
Yeah.
So, and argue with umpires, too.
He's a tough guy who's like to chew. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
One of the stats that you can look up here is the that I like to look at sometimes, the 162 game average.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So for George Brett, Average for 162 game average, 619 at bats, 95 runs, 189 hits. These are his averages.
These are averages, yeah.
19 home runs, 96 RBIs.
That's crazy.
Average. Those are pretty sick numbers for. That's what you average over,
over a long career,
Yeah. And I mean, he had 200 hit seasons and another one that was just shy.
Yeah.
Around 109. And listen, Ops Plus, which I'm not even sure what that is. That is OBP plus slugging.
Yeah, it's slugging. It's on
1980, 203.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
That's crazy. Yeah. Crazy numbers.
Well, look, Brett was a great defensive third baseman. He was also a guy who was one of the best pure hitters in the game. Now, the guy who's going to be, who's also number one on this list was more of a slugger, didn't have the, awesome player. I'm not taking anything away from him. And I think they deserve to be number ones in many ways. The thing with Brett is that he did hit over 300. He did have that many hits. Mm-hmm. He did do it for that long and that consistently. And the postseason to me is where you separate people a little bit. Yep. And he hit 38 points higher than Schmidt over his career, and had just regular season, and had a 337 postseason batting average in 36 games, including a 373 average in the World Series. He had 10 postseason home runs, 8 doubles, 5 triples, and 23 RBIs, and scored 30 runs. A lot of people always forget how many runs do people score. I mean, that's the point of the game.
Right.
He scored 30 runs in 36 games.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at a time when you didn't have that extra 2 rounds of playoffs to pad it. You had to win the pennant and get in and then play it, So he did it consistently on a team that didn't always have a ton of support for him. He carried that team. And I think because he was in a small market in some ways, in the Midwest, I think he gets overlooked a little bit.
Yep.
And his numbers are and look, you can't say, he was a Ron Santo, he never made it to the playoffs, or he never won a World Series. You can't say any of those things.
No, you can't.
You can't say any of those things. Yeah. He was George Brett. To me, obviously you can tell by the way I'm talking, I had him number one. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with where everything panned out, but I just and he killed my team all the time. I mean, it took pine tar to finally win a game again. I was kind of I was.
You were so happy you went out and bought pine tar.
I was rooting for George Brett during the Pine Tar incident. Like even as a kid, I was like, "This is wrong." Like, I hope he clocks that umpire. I mean. That's how much George Brett can win you over. I don't know how he's George Brett.
He is. You're right.
He's George Brett.
Right. He's one of 4 players in Major League Baseball history to accumulate 3,000 hits, 300 home runs, and a career batting average of 300 or more.
Yeah.
And the others being Stan Musial,
mm-hmm.
Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron.
And I think he's an all-around player and hitter, much like those guys. And there's not a lot of those. That's the Mount Rushmore of hitting.
Yeah.
I mean, right because you could talk about the guys who hit a ton of home runs. Obviously, that comes with the RBIs. But Brett was a guy who got on base, hit a lot of extra base hits. That's why his slugging is so high. And he was just an amazing hitter for a really long time.
Really long.
I mean, probably the sweetest swing I've ever seen play in my lifetime. Watching people, I don't think there was a better swing I've ever. It's that good, that good.
Let me throw these postseason numbers at you real quick. 1976 in the ALCS against the Yankees. 5 games, 18 at bats. He hit 444. 1978 ALCS, another loss to the Yankees. 18 at bats. He hit 389. 1980 in the World Series, he hit 375. That was 24 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
And 348 in the ALCS in 1985, a win against Toronto. That was 7 games. He hit 348 and then the 370 in 1985. That was also a 7-game series. So whether it was 7 games or 5 games or 4 games, there were times that he was just making the most of his plate appearances. These are all like double-digit.
Monster numbers. And look,
crazy.
The Royals had some talent, but not really that much. No. And they may have had one good starting pitcher for some of his career. I'm not sure there's a guy in baseball who carried a team as much as George Brett did. I can't think of one. I can't.
I can think of a few that carried the teams, but none as much.
He's the Dirk Nowitzki of baseball. I mean, in a lot of ways, he really is. I mean, because he did win it. I don't think anybody thought the Royals would get past either the Yankees or some of the other teams in the American League, because they were that team that were not willing to go out and spend the money to get those other players that the other teams were getting. And yet they were always there. Always there.
And he was born in Germany, which few people know, which is also the Nowitzki connection.
That's why he has an umlaut over the E in his name.
That's right.
He was also credited for coining one of the I don't want to say a main term, but a term that's used quite often in Major League Baseball, the Mendoza line.
Mm-hmm.
Busting Mario Mendoza's chops. Mm-hmm. He coined it while he was interview with Chris Berman once. So that whole Mendoza line came because of George Brett.
So would his Aaron Boone nickname be Georgie or Bretty?
Bretty.
Howie.
Absolutely
Bretty, right?
Bretty.
Howie. Isn't it his middle name? Yeah. Whatever it doesn't make sense, that's what it would be.
He can, exactly. Howie.
And Boone would probably rest
George
him.
Brett, what's his nickname? Howie.
Boone would probably rest him and then play him at first base occasionally.
I love it. All right.
For Andahar.
Number 1B.
Well, I wonder who 1A could be.
Georgie Howie Bretty. All right, let's move on to number 1A. Number 1A, of course, would be Mikey Schmitty. Mike Schmitty. Mike Schmidt. Michael Jack Schmidt.
Jackie,
there you go. 12-time All-Star with the Philadelphia Phillies. His entire career he spent with the Phillies. 19-year career? 19-year career. 12-time All-Star once again. World Series champion in 1980, 3-time NL MVP. World Series MVP in 1980. 10-time Gold Glove Award winner. 6-time Silver Slugger Award winner. 8-time National League home run leader. 4-time National League RBI leader. Hit 4 home runs in 1 game. So he has that to his credit as well. His number 20 is retired with the Phillies. He's in the Philadelphia Phillies Walk of Fame. He was on the All-Century team and the All-Time team for Major League Baseball. And, of course, he's in Cooperstown. Lifetime 276 batting average, 2,232 hits, 548 home runs, and 1,595 RBIs.
And the winner of the Chuck Norris lookalike contest.
And the winner of the Chuck Norris lookalike contest. Actually, Chuck Norris modeled his image after Mike Schmidt.
He did. He's the only guy who doesn't want to challenge in it. Yeah.
I'll say this for Mike Schmidt. He was ahead of his time.
Sure.
As far as his numbers go. I'll give you this is 74 through 76.
Right.
And these are all major league leading numbers. 36 home runs, 138 strikeouts. 1975, 38 home runs, $180 in the old strikeout category. And then 76, 38 home runs and 149 strikeouts.
Yep.
So there you go. The sort of the prototype for the.
He was a fast or famine kind of guy, feast or famine kind of guy. But I mean, again, I think what makes Schmidt so obvious, I guess, as you said on this, is that I think he just did it so well in the spotlight for so long, and he was bashing the ball for years at a rate that you could, And look, he was a bit of an old school guy even back then.
Right.
He kind of minded his own business. He wasn't non-vocal, but he wasn't going to waste his breath on anything. He was kind of a stoic. He's perfect for Philly. He was kind of this blue-collar guy who just happened to be the best third baseman in the game for most of his career.
Sure.
And, came up big a little later in his career with his World Series win, but the fact that he won 3 MVPs, it still sort of surprises me a little bit. But he was so far ahead of everybody in the amount of home runs he was hitting that, I mean, if you look at if it was 2017 and Mike Schmidt was in his prime, he probably would have hit 60 home runs. I mean, he was when you think of power hitters, I think of Mike Schmidt.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Just and he did it from start to finish, basically. So he was
a guy who was feared
yeah.
when he came up to bat.
And he was a third baseman, much like Brett, much like a lot of other guys. It's just like I'm a third baseman. You're not going to move me here. You're not going to. I'm a third baseman. I'm going to play. I'm not going to take days off too often. I'm going to play third base. I'm going to play the whole game.
And I'm going to bash the crap out of the ball.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or I'm going to swing and miss.
Swing. Yeah, 6-1.
Yeah, he was like a much better Dave Kingman.
Exactly, and his teammate Pete Rose once was quoted as saying, "To have his body, I'd trade him mine and my wife's, and I'd throw in some cash."
Yeah.
So
well, look, that Philly team was they were kind of rough and tumble. They were kind of the veterans. They were a veteran team. They were kind of the old guys, not old, but they just seemed, so, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't like that team in some ways. I mean, they were as different, as flamboyant and fun and as the Pittsburgh Pirates were. The Phillies came along a couple of years later, and it was just this kind of blue collar team of guys who were just like, all right, we're going to win it. We're going to win a championship now.
Right, exactly.
Here's Mike Schmidt's 162 game average.
Go for it.
267, 101 runs, 150 hits, 37 home runs, 107 RBIs.
Yeah,
not bad.
He was an RBI machine.
Not bad for a day's work.
You take that, right?
And Schmidt had some good help around him. He played on some good teams. He's got some other Hall of Famers that or at least should be Hall of Famers that played with him.
Sure.
But they did it at a time when it was hard. It was not easy to get to the pennant, win it, and then win the World Series. No. And they did that. And so, with both him and Brett, they played in an era, Nettles falls into that, I think, too, where it wasn't easy to get to the playoffs because it wasn't like there was still 6 teams. There was a good amount of teams. There was two divisions in each in each league.
In each league,
and you had to win. You had to win to get in.
You were right. You were on top, or you were nothing.
And the pressure was on.
It wasn't the guy who came in second. The team that came in second got exactly the same thing as the team that came in.
There wasn't 14 or 16 teams going to the postseason. There was
no wild card, no playing games,
and you didn't have those early round playoff, series to sort of pad your numbers. I'm not saying pad your numbers, but you know what I mean. It's easier to hit 300 in the postseason when 2 of your 4 series are against teams that aren't the top 2 in each league.
Right.
Well, you could conceivably win the World Series and only play in 8 games.
Right. Exactly.
Which if you
exactly
could have a couple of bad games. And
I just remember the pressure of those games was immense. They were, and correct me if I'm wrong. Was the pennant not 5? Best of 5? Pennant was best of 5.
Are you sure about that?
I thought it was best of 5.
That's a good question. I don't remember that.
I think early on it was best of 5.
That could be a Mandela syndrome where we all thought
to get our crack staff on it. Jimmy, get on that, will you? Jimmy, get on that.
I'm looking. Jimmy's on the shelf.
Jimmy's on the shelf. Yeah, get him on it.
Spidey, where are you?
Spidey, get on that.
Get on your laptop.
Peter Parker, get going. Anyway, but yeah, no, that's exactly right though. So there you go. Number 1A, Mike Schmidt. Schmitty.
Yep.
Schmitty.
Yep. The American League Championship Series used to be 5 games, both American League and National League. Because in 1969, the Orioles won 3 games to nothing. 1970, the Orioles won 3 games to nothing. Yeah. So it used to be best 3 out of 5.
Best 3 out of 5. Yeah.
Which is tough.
It's definitely
think about the pressure of that.
Huge pressure. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, that is our top 10 list for this week. That brings us to our Next segment, which is Old Balls. Harry, tell us who this week's Old Balls recipient is.
This week's recipient of Old Balls is none other than Home Run Baker.
Home Run Baker.
I mean, how could you not give him his name is Home Run, and he was born with that name.
There you go. Yes.
John Franklin, Home Run Baker, born March 13th, way before time stood still.
The Earth was still cool.
The Earth was still cooling.
1886.
1886. Yeah. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics and the New York Yankees.
There you go. There's the Yankees cap right there on him.
He didn't play a long time, but the years that he played, he was dominant. Had a 307 career batting average. Hit 96 home runs, batted in 991 RBIs, but he won 3 world championships in 1910, 1911, and 1913, and was a 4-time American League home run leader 4 years in a row. So, kind of a guy you don't really hear about very often. But in that condensed period of time when he was playing at his best, I mean, he played 13 years in the major leagues, but it was really that period of time when he was with the Athletics that he was just dominant. And his name is Home Run Baker. So,
yeah. And listen, 1911, 11 home runs, 115 RBIs.
Right.
1912, He had 10 home runs, which was still.
Well, you have to remember that the stadiums were huge back then.
Right.
They didn't have 310 left field lines. It was like 400.
That led
across the whole.
These numbers led the American League. 10 home runs, 130 RBIs, and then 1913, 12 and 117. That's hard to do, to get over 100 RBIs. At least in the more modern game, when you're not hitting a lot of home runs. Well, look, you got to be constantly driving guys in.
Right. And, he went on to become a manager, and he's the guy credited for discovering Jimmy Fox. So, he was a baseball guy, and Walter Johnson referred to Baker as the most dangerous batter I ever faced. Yep. And he's just one of these guys. You're right, Pete. I mean, that's a good point to bring up, is that these numbers, home runs, were not what they were even, in the 40s and 50s. They were something that worked. The fields were bigger. The pitching was dominant. But I mean,
right. But the RBI numbers would be those would be great numbers today.
Absolutely.
Right? Anybody who knocked in 115 RBIs, you go,
obviously he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I mean, people knew just how good he was.
Absolutely,
good he was. And I don't know. I just he's when we pick these sort of recipients, it's either somebody who I think maybe deserves some accolades, but isn't necessarily in the top 10, or isn't necessarily didn't necessarily have the longevity of some other players. Sure. And I think Home Run Baker sort of falls in here to some degree.
Yeah, there's a number of players that they're kind of missing one or two elements.
But for those years, I mean, when Walter Johnson says you're the most feared hitter in the game, that means something. And
all right. So nickname Homie, Runny, or Bakey?
I think Johnny.
Johnny.
Okay.
His mom called him. Yeah. Look, Home Run Baker, this week's recipient of Old Balls. I do want to say one thing about our list, though. I think there's one guy playing today who, if you project out the rest of his career, will be on that list. And I think
J.D. Davis?
Yeah, well, maybe. But
I couldn't think of his name. I was thinking the same thing, John.
I think Nolan Arenado will be on that list someday.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado should be on the list at some point. Yeah.
And I almost put him on there, but he just didn't quite have I think he's in his eighth season. But I mean, if he plays another 8 seasons, even if at a diminished pace, and he's hitting, he's already got 10 home runs this year.
It's not diminishing anything.
If he plays another 4 seasons, kind of where where he's been,
right.
You could certainly make a great case.
Yeah, I mean, he's talk about a guy who's an overall really good hitter, much like Brett and some of these other guys that we've talked about, Musial, but he's without a doubt the best defensive second or third baseman in the league right now. Yep. And he gets a little overlooked. Obviously, he was under the radar quite a bit here in Denver, and now certainly in the bright spotlight of St. Louis. But I think Nolan Arenado will someday be on this list.
I think you're absolutely right. But well, Home Run Baker, our Old Balls recipient for this week.
Old Balls.
There you go. I just want to say one other thing about I forgot to mention it before about George Brett. Funny little fact. Whatchamacallit, when he knocked his 3,000th hit, he actually got picked off. Because he actually left first base to celebrate and got picked off. But he already got the hit.
They would have never let that happen today. They would have had a parade around the
Hey, Kluber's pitching a no-hitter.
I was just going to say, the Yankees have a no-no going.
No, I can't ruin it. I'm not at the stadium or at the broadcast.
Oh, is that the rules?
No, I think we're allowed to say it.
Okay. If no one's listening, you can say it.
And the Mets lost.
And the Mets lost, yeah. Well, the Mets lost. But
So
it's in the bottom of the 8th right now. It's an 0-1 count. Oh, it's the end of the 8th. 3 outs. Never mind. The 8th is over.
There we go.
The 8th is over.
Memphis snuck by San Antonio. It was a pretty close game. And the Lakers are down by 7.
Wow.
Make that 8.
Make that 8. Look at that. But yeah, Kluber. So yeah, so it's the end of the 8th. So he's got one more inning. He's got a no-hitter going. Another no-hitter.
That'd be. Come on, Corey. That would be such a nice comeback story, huh?
Wouldn't it? That would be good. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that little fun factoid about George Brett. Let me turn this crawl off here. All right. A couple things about football. Anything going on with? What do you think about Tebow and the Jags? What do you think?
Lakers are down 12-4, and their win probability is still 58%. Just want to say that.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
Tim Tebow is the Christian clap. He just won't go away.
Just won't go away.
He comes back. That's when you think he's gone. He's back.
All right. Got to talk about Aaron Rodgers. You, Harry, you sent us something. I guess it was yesterday when you sent it.
Yeah.
Imagining a Giants-Packers Aaron Rodgers trade blockbuster. I'm going to read this really quick. I won't. It's pretty lengthy, so I'll just skim a little bit. Aaron Rodgers to the Giants is not. This is from New Jersey Advanced Media. Aaron Rodgers to the Giants is not as crazy as it seems. In fact, the idea of the reigning MVP being traded from the Green Bay Packers to the Giants in a spring or summer blockbuster before training camp shouldn't be ruled out, is what was said. And here's the idea. Giants receive Rodgers. That's it. Packers receive Daniel Jones, the Giants 2022 first-round pick, the Bears 2022 first-round pick, which the Giants own, the Giants 2023 first-round pick, and the Giants 2023 third-round pick. Why would the Giants do it? Instant contender status and best quarterback to ever wear the uniform. Even above, obviously,
of course,
Phil Simms, but Eli Manning, Y.A. Tittle, even, whatever. Window could stay open for a little while. Yeah, he's 37 years old, but, I mean, Brady's like 62 now, right? So,
yeah.
So he can play a little bit longer.
He's been falling over Max Kellerman's cliff for 5 years now.
Gettleman's lasting legacy, that would be obviously something he could hang his hat on. Why would the Packers do it? It's a gigantic offer, no pun intended. It's 3 number 1 picks over the next 2 years, a number 3 pick, and a quarterback that they can use while they're still bringing Jordan Love along. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Obviously you guys read it. What do you think? About
here's my take on it all. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers wants, right? Do you presume the reason why he wants to leave Green Bay is to win? He's frustrated that they're not putting enough weapons around him. Okay, so let's look at the teams that have. I mean, with teams that don't have an established quarterback. Okay, the Giants have the most talent on offense. They have the most receivers. He can't complain that he doesn't have receivers.
He's got 97 receivers.
They've drafted young receivers. They have now depth at tight end. They have arguably one of the top 5 running backs in the game. They have an improving offensive line and a much better defense to keep them in the game. So, yes, the Giants were not great last year, but they were equally – I mean, going to the Broncos, he's not going to win right away.
No.
It's going to take, the Broncos just don't have the parts and pieces to it. Going to Vegas, he's not going to win right away. Mm-hmm. So the Giants are the one team that makes some sense. He's in New York. He's in the spotlight. Capitalize on that quite a bit. And the Giants, from an offensive standpoint, at the skill position, have loaded up in that area. The one thing that has a question mark is their offensive line, although it's improved. Right. And the one weak spot.
And they got Pat Flaherty back in the mix, too.
And their one weak spot in the skill position is they have a bottom 5% quarterback running the show. So either he's going to stay in Green Bay or he's going to take a big risk, which I don't think Denver has enough to offer. The Giants have been waiting for this. They have the assets to offer Green Bay. And if Green Bay is going to be stubborn and just say, we're going to play our cards and let him sit out this year, then they'd be stupid.
Well, he's got 3 years left on his contract. So he wouldn't have to sit out a year. If he's done in Green Bay, he'd have to sit out for 3 years.
Right.
And he'd have to make a comeback at 40 at that point. So,
and so I don't
think they've never stood for 3 years.
No.
I think they'd sit him for half a year.
I mean, that's his choice. I don't mean their choice. That's his choice. If he wanted out that he was just going to not play, he'd have to not play for 3 years.
Right. As far as them hanging on to him.
Right. If it's their choice, they would sit him.
He can't not play for them if they don't keep him around.
Of course.
There's 112 opinions on what's going on in the Aaron Rodgers world. But if you really look at the players, I'm looking at what the players are saying.
Right.
And people that are closest to Rodgers, it sounds as if he's done. He's done. He doesn't give a shit.
It sounds like.
And so
about Green Bay or about football?
Well, he's willing, I think, to give up a prime year of his career and not play for the Packers. Mm-hmm. I think he also realizes, or at least thinks in his mind, he's going to get traded if the right offer was there.
Sure.
If
you're Green Bay, how could you not? If Gettleman and the Giants actually make that offer, how could you not take 3 first-round picks over 2 years,
right?
A third-round pick and serviceable to whatever degree you want to call it quarterback.
And getting rid of Daniel Jones is a benefit for the Giants, not necessarily for Green Bay. They have another quarterback that has experience that even if Jordan Love becomes a starter, is a great backup, or he can be the starter for next year.
Right. And that's what it is. Yeah. Right, exactly. It's a starter for next year, bring him along, and then swap places. Yeah.
Has Aaron Rodgers just had it with the whole entity that is Green Bay? I thought he was just mad at the GM for
I think he's done
never drafting any offensive help and then drafting. So why not just, if you're Green Bay, just fire the fucking GM?
Well, but what are they going to do? He's going to come back and have the same situation where they just don't have the parts and pieces around him that he thinks he needs to win.
Right.
Which I get.
Well, that's what he's mad about.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's on the GM. But so then they go, okay, well, we'll draft a couple of receivers. We'll make a trade.
Receiver,
But then again, I guess now you're in. No, they didn't. But there are things they could do to make amends. Right. But then I guess you get into a situation of, well, how much are we going to let the quarterback dictate?
I think from his perspective, the last 3 years of what they did in the draft and what they did in the offseason was the opportunity to do that, and they didn't. Right. So I don't think it came out of nowhere.
No,
I don't think it came out of nowhere. I'm saying if they're
the antithesis was the antithesis was last year when they drafted Jordan Love too. They weren't giving him the weapons that he needed. Instead, they drafted his replacement, and that obviously just put a bad taste in his mouth. He went out and he did. I mean, that probably helped him get that MVP last year with that, fire burning down below, so to speak. And I think you're right. I mean, it's been building for a while, and yeah, I mean, when you think about it, the teams that could and would do something if the Giants were to actually do something along those lines,
I think it would be I think the Giants would be following in the template set by the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Yeah.
Because I could argue that the Giants have equal or better talent, maybe not as proven, but younger at the receiving spot, probably a slightly better when healthy running back, maybe a slightly more questionable offensive line, and maybe a defense that is not as quite as up there, but has the potential to be.
Are we talking about comparing it to Tampa or to Green Bay?
Comparing it to Tampa. I think they're equal to or better in all of those categories to Green Bay. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers on the New York Giants right now, they could be as good as Green Bay was last year. I really do. I think he makes that much of a difference.
I think he does too. I agree.
Green Bay did not have a great defense, and they did. I mean, Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in the world.
Sure,
but I think what the Giants have been able to put together, there's the depth there that I think could be pretty impressive, especially if Saquon's healthy.
Yep, I agree with it. And
they got one of the best receivers in the draft that's going to be ready to play from day one. He's got tremendous speed.
You think about it; they basically drafted Odell Beckham.
Right,
is what they did.
And the Giants for years have been good at drafting receivers, especially in the lower rounds. So we'll see. I mean, look, nobody really knows what's going to go on, and we're not going to know for another 2 weeks.
It's at least 2 weeks.
But I would love to see him come to either the Giants or the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos is a good fit. I think the best fit.
He's not going to do anything with the Broncos.
I think the best fit was the 49ers, even though the 49ers, I don't think, have as much offensive potential as the Giants.
They don't. They have
a much better defense.
They got Wayne Gallman now, though.
Yeah.
They do, so. But
they're gonna bring Frank Gore back.
Frank Gore back. Yeah. Well, he's still I think he still has a time with the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Frank Gore's still on the Jets, right?
I still don't. I have no problem with Frank Gore still playing.
No,
I love Frank Gore.
Absolutely.
But
Frank Gore's going to stick around long enough that he can be on a team with his son.
We all love Frank Gore. We just don't want him to play to be the starting running back for the Jets.
Yeah, he needs to just come in for special occasions.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Special
occasions,
playoffs,
birthdays,
playoffs at the goal line. Yeah, Thursday night games.
Right.
Yeah,
I love it. Did you see Colin Cowherd on the Herd the other day or yesterday or today?
You're talking about how Rodgers isn't going anywhere.
Well, he was talking about Rodgers, but then he started comparing NFL quarterbacks to NBA stars. He was making comparisons. So I'll run them down really quick. He compared Rodgers to KD. Right. You can give your opinion.
Rodgers is hopefully healthy.
I'll blow through them. He compared Brady to LeBron.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Going from team to team to keep winning championships.
Yeah, Brady went to one team. Played for the fucking Pats.
I didn't make this comparison, Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But Cam Newton to Russell Westbrook.
No, Russell Westbrook doesn't deserve that.
Yeah. Pat Mahomes to Steph Curry. Whatchamacallit? Russell Wilson, Damian Lillard, Lamar Jackson and Giannis, and Roethlisberger and AD. Those were his comparisons. Those were the ones. So that came from the Herd. That came from Colin Cowherd. So anyway, thoughts? I thought it was interesting, funny. And interesting, but a couple of them actually.
Daniel Jones to Brooke Lopez.
Daniel Jones to Brooke Lopez. Yeah.
Or no, who's the guy from Duke who plays on? Who's always getting technical fouls? Who plays on? That's who Daniel Jones is.
Yeah. Well, it's just because of Duke. I mean,
just because they're both. Well, they were both drafted way too high.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Anyway,
I think Colin again. Sports guys are really digging for this content.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to make me want to listen to the Herd.
No,
just as a interesting for you, Corey Kluber pitched a no-hitter.
Wow,
game's over.
I'm guessing the Yankees did not give back 2 runs. Look, the Yankees won on small ball tonight, though. They won on sacrifice flies and moving people over.
Another no-hitter. And for the Yankees, too. Congrats to them. Congrats to Corey Kluber. That's got to be big for him, obviously. And but yet another no-hitter. Was that three in the last week?
All right, Pete. You're starting for the Mets next week. We're going to see if we can get you a no-hitter.
We're going to get you a no-no. Come on, Pete.
Get about as good a chance as almost anybody.
Just throw it Just throw it around the corners. Don't throw anything else.
Paint the corners, and you're good to go.
Yeah. But you don't have to paint the corners. You can roll the corners. It's more like a roller. Just hit the handle hits the corner. You're okay.
Roll the
Sanchez is up. Just roll it in the dirt.
Well, listen, if McCann can frame it right, then I've got a shot.
That's right. McCann's a good defensive catcher.
He is. He's a very good defensive catcher.
Really speaking of football, by the way, don't know if you saw this, but the Texans, I think their quarterback problems are over. They've signed Jeff Driscoll.
Well, there you go.
So they've got Driscoll, they've got Davis Mills, Driscoll, Tyrod Taylor, and Ryan Finley, who they traded for. And of course Deshaun Watson.
They all have a clause in their new contract saying that you're not allowed at any time during your tenure to get a massage.
Well, but the reason
even by the trainers.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is
where are we at the lawsuit count with Deshaun Watson?
Well, it's 22 right now.
22.
Okay. So it's holding steady. It's like COVID deaths. It's
the NFL is investigating, and the Houston Police Department opened their investigation. That was back on April 2nd. Mm-hmm. So they're a month and a half into that. I don't know. I think I said before, the longer this goes on, the better it gets for Deshaun Watson.
I think Deshaun Watson paid Aaron Rodgers to cause a ruckus.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, and they're all in on it. Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere.
Well, he just called him up, and he's like,
"Can you sit with the GM now having a beer?"
He's going to go to Houston and play
tight end. They drafted that guy last year. They drafted your replacement, Aaron. You're going to take that shit?
Yeah.
I was talking to a masseuse the other day. They were like, I would never let that happen to me. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I would.
Exactly.
Come to Houston. You've got the best masseuses in the country.
Yeah.
Time will tell, right? What do you guys think? Do you think Deshaun Watson plays this year?
I mean, if it stays status quo like this, no. How can he?
I don't think so either.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah, how long can the investigations take?
The Jets
we are a few months away.
The Jets went from having Deshaun Watson as their quarterback to drafting a 16-year-old.
There you go. Drafting a 16-year-old. Gotta love it. But in any event, I actually need to pull this picture up. I sent it to you the other day. Actually, I could probably pull it up over this. Whatchamacallit? I sent you guys a picture the other day. Did you?
I couldn't open it.
You couldn't open it?
I'm thinking there was one thing that you sent that I couldn't see. So put it up and we'll see if I saw this one or
not. Hold on, let me see if I can download it here. Open.
Is this the one of B. Arthur playing badminton in lingerie?
Exactly. Hold on. Save. Oh, what's in here?
Our graphics department is weak.
I'm telling you, no. Actually,
Jimmy is going to get fired.
Well, Jimmy's a pain in the ass. I mean,
Jimmy hasn't. Let me let you know the secret, Pete. Jimmy hasn't showed up for work in 3 months.
What? That's why I have
3 months. It's been 3 months.
All these empty coffee cups.
Our statistician is called Wink-E-pedia.
Wink-E-pedia. There you go. Here you go. Do you know? I asked you guys if you know who this woman was.
Oh yeah, I didn't know who it was.
Okay.
I thought it was Luke Voigt.
Well, take a look and tell me what you think.
All right.
Anything?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Trevor Lawrence's sister?
The eyes look very familiar, but I don't know. It's a guy with a woman's hair on it, right?
Maybe not. I'm not quite sure. You tell me.
I think that was my first thought. And I assumed it was Luke Voigt because I don't know what Luke Voigt looks like, and I was like, "Oh, somebody made Luke Voigt into a."
It does look familiar, but I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know who it is.
You're gonna see it with like a.
Are you gonna see it? You're gonna see it in a minute.
You see who it actually is.
You see
the graphics department is still uploading Photoshop right now.
There you go. This is who it is. Right there.
Oh, it's mac and cheese.
It's Mac Jones. That is Mac Jones with Trevor Lawrence's hair.
That's fantastic.
He's. I mean, he would make a great field hockey player.
There you go. I think he was.
He looks like a field hockey player from a prep school.
How scary is that? That is Mac Jones.
Well,
what can you say? He's a pretty man.
There you go. Somebody said that. They posted it, and they go, I'm not going to lie. He's actually pretty.
Yeah.
But In any event, there you go. I figured you'd like that.
It was the knee socks that really.
It's almost kind of, potentially the perfect girlfriend. Loves sports, right?
Yep.
There you go. Sit and have beer and wings.
6'4" with a great arm.
6'4". No one's ever going to mess with you.
6'4" with the afro, 6'7".
You don't ever have to worry about getting in a fight because your girlfriend can kick the crap out of anybody around you.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. Gotta love it. Anyway, all right. On that note,
when you're out on a double date and he
can date himself now. I mean, look at that.
When you're out on a double date and he turns to, come on, Christine, let's go to the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
Then you go,
I don't know. I don't know. Demi Lovato came out as non-binary.
She's non-binary now. Yeah, I can't say she.
They
are not. They are non-binary.
What does that mean, non-binary?
She has no personal pronouns.
She has no ones or zeros.
She's not a 1 or a 0.
She's non-binary. She's not a 1 or a 0.
She's a half.
She's in the middle. Exactly. But she's a they now. She's no personal pronouns.
I mean, there's plenty of the theys, them, theirs.
Well, I read it too, and she came out and she said that she did it. She did it because she hasn't felt in a certain way, and she lately or for a while now, and she did it to support those that feel the same way. So
that's
what
she did have George Brett as the number 1 third baseman.
She had George Brett as number 1. Problem was though she had J.D. Davis as number 2. That was the problem.
She did.
So.
They did.
So anyway,
I'm fine with that.
It works. It's fine.
All right.
Whatever knocks your.
That was our e-entertainment moment.
Little e-moment of the podcast.
That's
exactly.
Right.
That's good stuff.
And just a quick note on hockey. The Stanley Cup playoffs has started. Local wise here, anyway. The Islanders are. Was 1-1?
That first game between the Islanders and Penguins, I watched that whole game.
Yeah,
that was a good game.
It was a good game. It was. Game 2 was good too, but not so much for the. There's
a lot of good. All the hockey games are close.
Yep.
They're going to overtime. So what they're doing is this goalie has to start at center ice and rush back to the.
Both goalies are in the faceoff,
and they have to go. They have to skate backwards for the first.
Half of the game.
That's right.
First period and half the second.
They're tied together. They have to pick.
Exactly. They got to go back and forth
That's right.
and guard each goal at the same time. But no, the only ones pulling away at all. I mean, is what you call it, Tampa Bay Lightning, or they lead their series 2-0. Everybody else is either up 1-0 or tied 1-1 right now. Avalanche lead 1-0.
The place where you wouldn't think there'd be any hockey, which is Florida, and those two teams battling it out. And Tampa Bay, man, I don't know what the odds are. I think they're something of a favorite to win the cup, right? They're very good.
They can repeat
behind Golden Knights, and
they've already won a couple others, right? I mean, talk about a team that is not one of the original 6 or whatever, and has had a lot of success.
Sure.
Tampa Bay, a good model for those of you who would like to learn how to put together a team that wins.
Rangers South is what they're dubbed. So a lot of ex-Rangers on the team. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it was when.
No comparison other than that.
Oh, okay. Because they've actually won a few recently.
Right. Exactly. They wouldn't have won the cup last year if they were the Rangers.
Well, listen,
in the South.
Just like everything else about Florida, you got a lot of transplanted New Yorkers down there.
Exactly. Well,
there's some good. I mean, the Washington Capitals series is a good series.
Yeah, it's a good series.
The Blues and Avalanche are going to be good. Although the Avalanche should win that.
Avalanche will probably win. It's going to be a good series, though. They lead 1-0 right now.
You got the Jets and Oilers. It's like 1977 all over again. Calgary Flames are playing the Canucks. I expect Lanny McDonald to skate out, and it's good.
The Jets are playing the Oilers. Ken O'Brien is playing.
That's right. The New York Jets versus the Houston Oilers.
That's right. Exactly.
Who are the Kings playing? Nobody.
They're not. No, but the Vegas and Minnesota are tied 1-1. So. It's shaping up. It should be an interesting playoffs, but we'll keep you posted on that. We'll do a little bit more as we get closer to the cup.
No, we won't.
A little bit more. I said we'll do a little bit more, like an extra couple minutes. We'll do a little bit more.
We'll actually mention
for all of the
names.
For all of our hockey fans.
Look, you can't be everything. To
no,
everyone,
you can't. Well,
we have NBA playing games. Come on, we have to,
We have to talk about those.
And then there's Jonathan Lugo chat line discussion. So you gotta. We fill it up. We fill it up, kids. It's hot.
And we talked about Demi Lovato too today.
We did. Who isn't?
Who wasn't talking about Demi Lovato? And we didn't mention Maria Kondo once today. Well, I just did. Damn
Until now.
Oh well.
Do you want to play a quick round of what's on the shelf?
Let's do a quick round.
Is it in there?
Is it in there?
Is it in there? That's the name of the game.
I don't like that because "is it in there" is something you never want to hear.
You never want to hear that. Is it in there?
Is it in yet?
I've actually played a number of times.
All right, I'm going to go first.
All right.
I am going to pick. I think you have a roll of painter's tape or masking tape somewhere in there.
Ooh.
Good one.
Right? It just looks like there should be a bent roll underneath a roller skate.
That's very.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
However, I am going to reach down. The camera's right here. I'm going to reach right down here, and I do have some duct tape.
There you go.
There you go.
It's on the desk, which is
on the desk.
Shelf
Close enough.
I'm sure at some point it was on the shelf.
It was on the shelf until yesterday.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
So,
partial win.
Partial win.
Partial credit.
I'm going to stick in the same vein. I'm going to say there's a drop cloth in there. Or something that you use as a drop cloth.
Where's your robe? By the way, did your robe go away?
No, it's back there.
It's still over there.
Okay.
It's over there. That's it. Yeah. Tropical towel is gone.
Yes, tropical towel needed a wash.
Yeah. Drop cloth.
I think this should just be the podcast.
This should be the whole show. Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a ski that's resting up against the door, or a molding, or like a.
I think it's a
cord.
It's like a pike pole.
Yeah, there you go, like a piece of plumbing.
Yeah, it's like a very long fireplace.
I do not have a drop cloth.
You don't?
Okay.
I don't have anything that could reasonably.
Wait, is that a win or a loss? Do I win because it's not in there? Do I lose because it's not in there?
I don't know.
No, I don't think it's
decided the rules yet.
Yeah, I don't really have anything that.
There you go.
Could even pass for a drop.
All right, for next week, John and I will when we send our top 10 to everybody, we're going to write down 3 things, and then before the show, you can determine whether or not they're in there or not.
We'll see how many we. Yeah, because a lot of this is
Yeah, it might help you organize.
There you go.
It might help you spark some joy.
Could be.
No, not organizing this gives me joy.
No, you can't. Yeah, it's
well,
got to stay there. So if we're going to continue to play,
you're the happiest bastard on earth.
Exactly.
That's why I've been avoiding straightening this up for like 9.5 years.
I want to know how that pile that it looks like has a piece of styrofoam that's like at a 30-degree angle behind you doesn't just collapse on you. Yeah,
it's the volleyball.
It looks like it's. Oh, it's. I was going to say I thought it was balanced on a football helmet, but it's balanced on a volleyball.
There's a volleyball and the monitor box that Marie Kondo was living in. The other side of it is up. It could go.
Could go at any moment.
Well, wait. Let me ask you a question. That blue blanket or something that is on that styrofoam right there, is it big enough to be? No, next to it. The other way.
Oh, that is a fitted sheet.
A fitted sheet.
That is a twin size fitted sheet.
You could use it as a drop cloth.
Also, shelf adjacent. So there we go.
Drop cloth.
There you go.
So a half point and a half point.
Half point and a half point. There we go.
All right.
Well, we'll continue this game next week.
Riveting,
scintillating conversation.
Is it in there?
Aren't you glad you listened to the entire show to get to that right now? So,
if you had tuned out when we got to hockey, you would have missed this.
You would have missed this completely.
Right.
So be happy you stayed listening. So, all right.
Let's get out in under 3 minutes. Under 3 hours. Hurry up.
There you go. We'll wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everyone for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Watch a lot of sports. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you soon, folks. Enjoy. Cheers.